Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Social Discharge podcast. I am your host, Coco, or Tamika likes to draw, and joining me today is Aarlon. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I make comics.
And we also have Megan. Say hi, Megan.
Hello, I also sometimes make comics, and sometimes I dub other people's comics on the YouTube channel, MC
That you.
Gemstone.
Yeah, I'll link it in the description. And returning for after a long time, we have Kiko. Say hi, Kiko. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for welcoming me back. Hello, everyone. I'm KIKOMAN589, or just Kiko, and I'm glad to be back.
And it's going to be another seasonal discharge today. We've got some interesting shows to talk about. Some, in my opinion, actually good shows because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure everyone knows what my attitude normally is when it comes to these seasonals. But we actually have some decent-ish to actually good ones this season. So let's
Let's
just
just be honest. Last season, it was ass. It was extremely boring.
I
This
can't even remember
season,
last season.
I wasn't even there.
love it or hate it. Love it or hate it. Everything was insane.
Yeah. But all right then. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first show that we've got today, probably the most looked forward to show, the most hyped one of the season. Uh, got a pretty popular manga, big fan base on A and on Bird app. Everyone was looking forward to this show. It is Chainsaw Man. So who's
Woo!
gonna be introducing Chainsaw Man? Is that gonna be you, Alan?
I could start, but.
Yeah, Megan, you can start. Megan, you start.
Okay, alright, finally. Okay, so it's been a while for me of finding like an anime that has like gotten me super invested, and I don't fully remember the last time I got really invested into an anime as much as before. And Chainsaw Man is just like one of those animes that I was just like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I remember seeing like the manga everywhere, like people talking about it, and then I saw like little previews, and I was just like, wow, I'm actually invested of what this is. And I watched
Mm-hmm.
the first episode, and I was like, yes, I think I can safely say that this will be like, you know, the thing I got into the most. Oh, but no, it was like, I don't know where to begin, but I was just like, I was just amazed. It was I don't, sorry, I'm not I do not
No, you're good.
I
It's
suck at
okay.
reviewing. I can't do
Now, the first
this.
episode of the show was pretty good. I had some people recommend the manga to me in the past, and also, like I mentioned earlier, it was a pretty there was a lot of hype surrounding the show.
Yeah,
Mainly,
everyone was talking about the manga when it
yeah.
was going.
I mean,
In a way I've never seen with a manga.
I mainly saw people talking about Makima, let's be honest here, not the actual plot or anything like that, but that's how it
I
is
love
with
Danchi. I love him. He is a bastard boy, but he good bastard boy. Uh,
yeah.
I feel like I have learned a lot about myself, that there's a certain types of characters that I like, and any character that has sharp teeth, especially in anime, is like already 11 out of 10 in character design. I don't
Hmm.
know, I'm a sucker for it. I mean, even my profile picture in the Discord call has me with a personified version of me with sharp teeth, so yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a pretty good first episode. Action packed, well animated.
Oh my
Probably,
god.
well,
Yes.
I didn't watch every show this season, but out of the ones that I have seen, it was probably the best animated, the best looking one. It was,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
Mappa.
yeah, Studio Mappa.
Mappa did
It was
good.
animated by Studio Mappa of quote unquote final season of Attack on Titan fame. He also did Jujutsu Kaisen, Zombieland Saga, other shows like that. And the director was Ryu Nakayama, who did some storyboarding stuff on shows like Jujutsu Kaisen, Shield Hero, and he also worked on. Can I say this is a fan favorite? I probably not fan favorite, but a member favorite. I'd probably say it if Delirium was here, but he's not. Arrow Manga Sensei.
Oh God.
Ooh.
But yeah, he's worked on a few decent shows, so you know that he's well prepped to take on the task of directing the show. I think this is his first directing one, because I think before this it was just episode directing and storyboarding. So this is his first like full-time, like full-on directing thing. Although I did notice when I was looking at the staff on AniList, there's a separate director for action scenes, and the action scenes in this are also pretty cool. Although they're somewhat controversial because, well, I don't know if controversial is the word, that might be a bit of an exaggeration. But I know that a lot of people
CG.
criticize, the show's switch to CG. Although I
hardly
saw
it.
I mean, I
It
kind of
wasn't
noticed.
bad.
I kind
I
of
guess
noticed.
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
noticeable,
like-
but not like too noticeable. I think it was fine. I don't know. People get very up in arms about it.
Although I did see some people like showing like old animatics of the show, and scenes that people thought were CG were act like some of them, because there was definitely CG in this show without question. But some scenes that people thought were CG were actually hand drawn. So
Well,
it's actually kind of interesting. Like I saw someone
funny.
jokingly, someone mentioned they compared this show to Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, where they were like, we've reached a point where hand-drawn animation looks three-dimensional and 3D animation looks 2D, because
yeah, we've kind
in
of
Into the
they've kind of
Spider-Verse they have
crossed
a scene.
like
Yeah.
paths. They like kind of switch and evolved or fused somehow. I don't know, but I guess another thing I wanted to bring up was Best Girl Power. Heyo. Finally, more representation of unhinged women. I love unhinged men, but damn, we need more unhinged women. Just saying, she was great. What?
When I first saw her, I was like, "What? 02? What are you doing
Yeah,
here?"
she did look like that, but nah, she different. Though I haven't seen that anime, so I can't really say much. But Power, she's pretty powerful.
I mean,
I
that's
see what you did
definitely
there.
like that's one of the great things about Chainsaw Man is that the main cast is just so crazy
Yeah.
and energetic.
That's probably why I got into it, because everyone's very like hyper, and that got my attention. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. It leaves it always feeling really chaotic.
Love that.
I do kind of like how straight to the point the show is. Like
yeah,
we
absolutely.
don't dwell too long on Denji's backstory. It's like the first like 5 minutes, I think, or like not even that of the first episode, and then it's just like straight into the violence.
Oh yes, I think it has really good pacing, and like, I mean,
Yeah.
again, I haven't seen or well read the rest of the manga. I've only seen like bits of the first 3 volumes. But it's I don't know, it's very like straight to the point and like has good pacing, so everything just feels like, it's never too slow or too fast. I don't know how to describe it in a more in-depth way.
Yeah. It's just right. It's just right.
Another thing I think that got me really into it, I think it's because it's sort of in this kind of sort of post-apocalyptic. I can't even say the word.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, that word. It's kind of, but not completely. I think it's just because, well, well, it's the monsters. I love monster designs. I love how created like the devils are, and just like how creepy and gross they look. Love that. Big fan of that. I love it when characters are fighting and it's just like whoosh whoosh whoosh, and it's like blood is everywhere, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Just the way they just die, and like the chainsaw man like form is cool, and just man's best friend, they became one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's something that I want to go into.
Oh yeah.
Is before I watched this show, I saw some out of context clips of I think this was from the second episode where it's Denji like literally acting like a dog when he was being fed by Makima. And so when I was watching the first episode, this was before I got the whole context. When I saw Paquita, it's Paquita or Pachita, go
Pochita.
inside Denji, inside him. When I saw Paquita go inside him, I was like, wait a minute, is the reason why he acts like that because he's literally part dog now? But then I realized, no, that's not what it is.
It's a lot more.
Femdom, act like a dog fetish stuff going on here.
Well,
kinda.
people definitely like speculated about that. I remember like as it was going,
Yeah.
there was so much talk about the like, did it make him like a dog?
I guess, but
Yeah.
I think he's just really cute. I know he can be kind of a jerk, but then again, it's like he's been through a lot and has no kind of like, probably not a lot of affection in his life.
Yeah.
So he just needs someone to just kind of care for him and just
He's
like.
a simp.
No,
He's a simp.
he's just a little guy.
He's a simp.
No, I love him. He's just so precious. I just.
I don't really I don't know. I haven't read the manga. But I have seen some sort of like sus tweets about Makima, like nothing too spoilery, but I don't know. Aarlon, you've read the manga, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause based on the little that I have seen, I sort of okay. The only reason why I'm comparing her to Griffith is because I've been recently reading Berserk, but the way
Based.
but Makima kind of I was gonna in my notes I had it written down as Makima is kind of like femme Griffith, but Griffith is already pretty feminine, so
Yeah, exactly.
but
True.
she's like femme Griffith, and I have a feeling that the story is gonna go in a pretty similar direction, like in more ways than one, because she's got the charm, the personality, and everything. She's got that, you know what I mean, like how Griffith is with like the Band of the Hawks and that sort of, you know, air he has about himself, the way he commands respect. Makima has all of that, and I sort of foresee. I'm not entirely sure, but just based off of the little that I have seen, she even talks like him too, like the sort of possessive language she has with Denji is almost like the kind of language that Griffith has with Guts when they first meet. It's I don't know. I just foresee something kind of similar happening there.
I
But I'm not
wouldn't
entirely sure.
compare her to Griffith exactly, but it definitely is true that like she's presented pretty ominously from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the way she is in the OP is like pretty scary.
Yeah. Wait, I forget how she
Oh,
presented
that
again?
reminds me, by the way. The OP of this show is crazy.
Oh my god, I love
It's
the
like-
opening. I've been listening to it on Spotify for
Exactly.
days. I am so
On loop.
addicted to it. It's just, it's.
Oh, I
it's
thought you
my
were going
new
to talk about the. I thought you were going to talk about the movie references.
Oh yeah, There's
Those
a
are
lot
cool.
of movie references which are pretty cool, but just like it's my new stem song I just been listening to a lot because I just love the way it sounds and feels, but like just I don't know. It's a good vibe song. I don't know how to describe it in like normal words, but I love it. But yeah, the open.
It's like the show. It's
Yeah.
so energetic.
It's so energetic, and even like the outros to the anime that are like different songs each time, with like different genres of music, and those
Yeah.
ones are pretty cool. But I really love the opening the most. Like a lot of its opening is like I believe I think I saw some tweet of like someone using like they took the screenshots from the opening and compared it's like, oh, this scene from the opening was based off this scene from this movie. I think or like one of them was like The Ring or something or Ringu. Some others that I can't think of because I haven't seen all the films. I'm sorry, I'm very uncultured.
The Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
here's
that-
Thor: Love and Thunder, apparently.
Wait, really?
yeah.
Well then.
Yeah, there's like
okay.
a reference to the title card of that for some
Ah.
reason.
Is it with like power with the like the font that she has of the And then
Yeah.
my favorite part of the opening, it just zooms him on Danchi with a collar around him. I love that. He is a dog boy. He is
Yeah.
dog of boy of dog. He is good boy. Yeah.
So here's
I-
one other
don't
thing
know,
I
I'm being
wanted to
weird.
talk about. So I saw some people, I mean, this wasn't necessarily to do with the anime, this was more so to do with the manga, but some people were like Chainsaw Man fans were fighting with like newer people who just got into the show
Oh, for goodness
about
sake.
about the show being like basically they were trying to argue that the show is not sexual, which is kind of weird.
What?
Even though they're longtime readers,
Excuse me?
even though they're longtime readers of the comic, and I'm just like, huh?
Denji's motivation is to touch a boob.
Yeah, I was gonna say
What
that
do they
like
mean?
that's literally like his main motivation, at least right now.
Yeah.
Although I was going to say in regards to his motivation, I do kind of appreciate that there is, something else besides that. Like, guy had a tough life, spent most of his life in poverty, and now he has a relatively decent life, and he wants to maintain it, even if it means throwing his life away, for it, or risking his life rather, not throwing his life away.
Mhm.
But just in case anyone watching this is like, the motivation is to touch a boob, what? That's stupid.
It's
There's
like
an
more to it.
there's an
Yeah.
actual motivation there. He wants to maintain this lifestyle that he has, and be able to eat normal food and live in a house.
I love the house that well, it's not really a house, it's more of a apartment, but
Yeah.
like when Aki, is that how you say his name? The one with the ponytail?
Yeah.
Yes, okay,
Actually,
cool.
I was
Sounds
sure.
right.
Yeah.
He, I like the scene where it was just this quiet moment where he wakes up, he's like, just getting ready for the day, like making breakfast. And I love those scenes where everything's just quiet, where you just hear like the sounds and just of like what he's doing. I guess there's like some sort of like weird accidental ASMR to it. Or at least that's how I see it, and it was just really nice to just like enjoy that little quiet moment before chaos erupts, and then power comes along and trying to use the bathroom, and with the toilet paper everywhere, like some kind of 5-year-old. But then again, she is a feral woman that has lived in the woods, so her trying to be more human than animal makes sense, I guess,
I bet so many like otakus, like hardcore neat otakus, felt validated
God.
when they found out that power doesn't bathe.
They're like,
Lol.
damn, she like me for real, and it's just like, yeah, she's a stinky girl. She's lived in the fucking forest. You guys live at home. You don't live in the
Yeah.
forest. She just eats animals and she has a pet cat named Meowie. Meowie! It's such a cute name. I love it.
Yeah.
Meowie.
No, guys, just because power doesn't bath often doesn't mean you shouldn't bath often.
She's
Go and bath. Take a
like,
bath.
Take a bath.
Go and take a bath.
Take a shower.
Take a bath.
It's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay clean.
Stay clean, bitches.
But yeah.
And hydrate.
But
Okay.
anything else to say about Chainsaw
I
Man
have
before we move on?
So I have two hot takes about Chainsaw Man.
Ooh.
So I will
Scandalous.
say, I don't know entirely how I feel about the anime. Even though it's like obviously amazingly made, it's a beautiful anime. I will say I don't know if I feel like Mappa was the best fit to animate this show.
Okay.
Because the manga has like a very rough style. It's kind of sketchy. So when I think of like who should animate Chainsaw Man, I wonder if it wouldn't have been better to have like Studio Bones do for Chainsaw Man what they did for Mob Psycho
Yeah, I can see that.
and like keep the style.
Yeah, I can see that. I was gonna ask you who you'd replace it Mappa with.
Yeah.
I can ask that too.
I mean, I definitely feel like I haven't read the manga. I've only seen like certain images of it. I do feel like the art was somewhat upgraded by the anime, although I've seen some people sort of argue different. There is one thing that kind of, I don't know if it bothers me, or I don't really know if it's like a thing that bothers me or if it's just something that I noticed. I did notice that like when it comes to the animation, the characters are, for the lack of a better word, bouncier than they are in your typical anime. But again, I'm not entirely sure whether that's a bad thing because I kind like it looks weird at times, but I kind of appreciate it because at the same time it
'Cause-
makes the characters feel
lively.
more alive than they do in your average anime where the character is just like one frame with lip flaps moving for like 5 seconds. You know, the characters in this actually feel like living people. So
I do like how bouncy, like that as you mentioned. I do like how lively and bouncy everything feels and such. So it's you can tell this had like quite a big budget. So you know, there's that. What was else I was gonna say before we move on? If that's it. Oh, sorry.
there is one thing that some people are kind of complaining about in regards to
dear.
how they adapted the manga.
Here we
The
go.
downsizing of some of the characters' assets.
I mean, what? Did they decide?
I will say they shouldn't have done it for power, but only for plot reasons.
Because like they made, I don't know if this seems to be a pretty common trend when with anime adaptations of manga, is that like they always slim down the characters just a little bit. Like I remember people were complaining about that with My Hero Academia as well.
Power's boobs are important to the plot. They can't shrink them down.
I mean, they seem pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean,
Speaking of
Big
Power's
enough.
Big
boobs,
enough.
I can't believe they ended episode 4 before Denji grabbed them. That was such a tease. No.
I love.
I
women.
hate that. I hate that. I was like hands on the TV, my face pressed against the television, waiting for Denji's hand to land. I was like, get him, my dude. And then the credits rolled, and I was like, what? What?
I'm sure he'll get them
No!
next time. We'll see. By the time this episode gets uploaded, you know, the future of the comment section will tell us I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Is that all we have to say
Yeah,
about
I think
Chainsaw Man?
that's.
I have one piece of trivia to share that's
Oh.
important to me because the voice actor for Makima, Tomoe Kusunoki, is the voice actor for Karen from Sword Art Online
Ah.
Alternative,
Oh,
Mayu
yeah.
from One Day Priority, and Setsuna from Love Live Nijigasaki. So I thought that was pretty
Cool.
Oh,
interesting.
that's neat.
Also from the fan art that's been produced, crossing Setsuna and Makima over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope to get a chainsaw dog plushie, Pochia. I think I said his name wrong.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
yes.
Pochita's cute. Like yesterday, I saw an ad like on the street, which is from Crunchyroll, just
Oh,
with
that's
Pochita there.
amazing.
And just like I took a picture,
send that
and it's
over.
just cute. I want to
Yeah,
pat. I want to pat him.
same. I guess one last thing. I just like the way when Danchi smiles with his sharp teeth. Same with Power.
Oh wait, Megan, you're cutting in and out a little bit.
It's fine. Luckily, I'm recording with Audacity,
All right.
Yeah.
but you might need.
The audience will hear
Yes.
even if we didn't.
But no, I
Yeah.
like characters with sharp teeth, and I like it when they smile with their sharp teeth.
Base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. 11 out of 10 characters aside. Let's go. Anyways, on to the next one.
All right. The next show is Blue Lock. Aarlon, you're the only one who's seen this show.
Yeah, I'm curious.
do you
Why did you
have
pick
to
this when
say
you're the only
about
one?
Well, I have some feelings about it, so I wanted to talk about it. So, Blue Lock is kind of like if you took like a standard sports soccer anime.
Inazuma 11.
What?
Oh my god. I remember
Inazuma
that anime.
11. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, Aarlon, have you not seen that?
No. Is it a soccer anime?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
made
kind of
by
mid.
the
So you're
same-
not missing much.
Made by the same people that did Professor Layton. Actually, I thought it was really good when I saw it, but okay.
So it's like if you took a standard sports anime, like whatever that one was you mentioned, and you combined it with one of those edgy death game anime.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting.
in the beginning of this one, like, the main character, he's doing, like, the standard sports anime thing. He's, like, trusting in his teammates, he's making passes to his friends, and it's not working out for him. They're, like, completely holding him back, they suck at soccer. Until, one day, all of the up-and-coming, promising strikers, which is a soccer position in Japan, get called to this.
Wait, guys, I just want to make sure that we clarify one thing real quick. For anyone who doesn't know what Aarlon is talking about, he's talking about football.
Ugh,
Soccer.
Brits.
Yeah.
They all
Yeah.
get called
Anyway, go on.
to the state-of-the-art soccer training facility. And the guy running this facility is like he's a total weirdo. And he's like, actually, being the way to succeed at soccer is not to be a team player and believe in your teammates. It's actually ego. Only egotistical people succeed at soccer and become the world's top players. So I created this compound to teach you all to be egotistical. So to do that, we're going to have a battle royale like Fortnite, but with dumb soccer-themed mini games where we eliminate people one by one.
Is there
And-
like one guy where they're like, "Come on, England, score some fucking goals"?
Yep.
It's just that one guy that's just shouting that, and everyone.
Come on, England. It's coming home. It's coming home.
God, I hate fucking cutting out. I'm sorry about that. You probably like.
Football's
Okay.
coming home.
God.
You know, the one thing that I saw about Blue Lock is if you see like panels like out of context, like which people were sharing, you would never guess. Well, I suppose it's based on what you're describing, it's completely different from like the average sports show, which would explain why it looks so different. Because I don't think you would ever guess just by looking at like panels from the manga that that's from like an average sports show. It looks like it's from like some like I saw like this highly detailed like panel where like I don't know if it was the main character or some random character where it's like I'm gonna kill you and it's like highly detailed and he's like super enraged. It's like that does not look like it. It's from a
I wouldn't be
football.
surprised if that was from the first episode. They do like one of the death game things, and by the way,
Mhm.
the reason I compare it to a death game is that like if they lose, they're banned from ever playing soccer professionally,
Wow.
Oh
which is
my
pretty
god.
So the
stupid in
stakes
my
are
opinion.
incredibly high.
Imagine that in real life for British people. That would be. Oh my god. Everyone would be talking about that.
But why? What? But why
I
do they
think-
believe that doing that would work? Being egotistical because you can't do that in real life.
Well, he
You know,
like
it's actually funny because I was gonna say this anime sounds like the antithesis of what a football anime would be like because
yeah.
it sounds very anti-teamwork and pro solo one-man army. Uh, I'm gonna carry this team. It's just gonna be me type stuff.
And
'Cause
they
I'm
like
looking. Oh.
no, go ahead, Megan.
I was looking at the panels of the manga and just like I don't know, I guess screenshots like because I guess I've seen the poster of it, but like oh my gosh, the manga artwork looks amazing. It has no right to be like super detailed, and it being a football anime. Well, football manga. Oh, that's if this gets dubbed anytime soon, I hope they get a British cast for it so it can feel more authentic.
Authentic, yeah, exactly.
Then they'd
Come
have to
on.
call it football.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that would
No.
probably be the only dubism they do is just call it football, I guess. I don't know. I think it would be kind of funny to have a British cast. It would make sense. I know people probably make fun of it because, oh, everyone's British, but it's like, it would make sense.
It would actually be so appropriate because I don't think, considering how intense these characters are about football in this manga, just based on the panels I've seen, British voice actors would definitely make
Yeah,
sense. 'Cause
get, like-
do you see how intense we get about football? Did you see how our train stations look like during the Euros? That was no joke.
Oh.
It was no joke. Leicester Square was completely trashed before the final even took place. It was
Exactly.
like I was scared from going there, and I didn't go because of what it looked like.
Jesus.
Yeah. And those videos of people beating the crap out of each
Oh
other.
my god. Yeah, it do be like that.
But anyways, back to Blue Lock.
I'm so happy I totally won.
But so the thing about this anime is
Cringe.
I fucking hate this anime so much.
Oh.
It's
Wow.
even though it's like really well made and everything, it looks great and like the writing isn't bad, but just on a philosophical level, I think what really gets me about it is it feels just close enough to reality that it almost feels like it could be real. That like you just know they're like the Japanese government is like pouring, tens of millions of dollars in grants into this like state of the art facility that's just banning a bunch of promising players from playing soccer and like
Yeah.
whoever wins, he's gonna be good because he was able
You
to
mean
win all these mini
you
games.
mean like how they factory make idols and now they're factory making football players?
That sounds accurate to real life,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but it still seems a bit not appropriate because even the second best player would be incredibly good.
True.
Yeah. And like they like feed
That would be like banning Rooney from playing football just because Beckham exists. I don't know.
I don't know anything about football, so
If we went back 15 years, then yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like again.
Yeah, they're retired. They're both
get like
retired.
the freaking Xenoblade voice cast to voice the characters for the dub.
that would be something.
Oh,
yeah.
just please, come on, make it happen.
They like adjust the amount of food they get based on their performance, and that's like I'm pretty sure that's like a real thing in like sumo, and that just like it makes me so mad. It's like no, that's not a good thing. I give it a 4 out of 10. If if this doesn't
That's
sound
not that bad.
Wait a minute. So, like, quality-wise, it's actually a decent show.
yeah,
But because it reminds you of, like, real-life stuff or, like, really bad real life about, like, sports and, I guess, my mind kind of goes to, like, idol culture, how they handle idols. That's what my mind thinks of. Or, like, K-pop bands. It's a 4 out of 10.
yeah. Well, I just hate
It's
how
too real.
cynical it is.
Yeah. Maybe if it was kind of more light-hearted in a way, more goofy, I guess. Maybe if it wasn't trying to go for anything too realistic or too like grounded, then maybe it would be fine. But
It sounds very gritty.
yeah, it sounds very like it hits you too close to home. But just like again, please,
Yeah.
I hope it gets a British dub, so then they can make funny memes.
Yeah.
If that doesn't sound like it'll bother you and you're interested in like sports anime, then I'd say go ahead and watch it. But personally, I was just seething.
That's
You were
alright.
disgusted by it.
It might be the only. I mean, it might be the only thing that might make me watch it because, like, I don't care about football, but if it's like fantasy football, like you know, like Mario Strikers or something, or like, you know, Imizuma 11.
I would watch an anime based on that game.
If there was a Mario Strikers anime done by
Because
Studio
the art
Trigger,
style on the art style on the cover is sick.
yes, if Studio Trigger did like a Mario Strikers anime, that would be awesome. Like, it doesn't have to be like a full-fledged series. It could be like a mini series or just like 13 12 episodes. That'll be it. I'll be happy with that. That would be.
That's actually
Yeah.
12 episodes is actually the standard now.
Yeah, I know, but if it was just like a one-off season kind of thing, I'll be down with that.
But all right. And on to the next show.
Next,
This was a show that I was
anime.
going to watch, but I just completely forgot it existed. Because it wasn't high on my priority list, but I did want to watch
That's pretty poetic, actually.
it. But I forgot to. Kage no Jitsuryuku sha ni naritakute.
The Eminence in
Write the English
Shadow.
names.
The Eminence in Shadow. If Michael were here, you'd be hearing a lot of Eminent Sweep right now.
Right?
Because
The English
This show is
names,
sweeping
damn
the
it.
season.
It's
It's completely
sweeping the
destroying
nation.
everything. Sweeping the nation. And
Wait, is
I'm
it actually
kind
like
of kidding
a-
because I do like it, but not like a lot. But I do like it mostly. But, wow. Where do I even start? Like, this is pretty off-kilter. That's the first word I use to describe it, because I don't know how seriously I should be taking it, or how seriously it is taking itself, and it's a pretty strange feeling.
Mm-hmm. So you can't tell if it's sincere or ironic.
I mean, I guess it's both at the same time, but it is genuinely funny, though.
I think
Like-
it's can't be.
It's campy, yeah,
Campy's
exactly.
fun. I like campy.
It's kind of it's funny because like the first episode, it didn't need to be a whole episode, but it's like the main character in our world doing like vigilantism, and in the end of the episode, he runs in front of a car to get isekai'd, and he just internally is just like,
Whoa.
get reincarnated in another world, get reincarnated.
Well, actually, that's interesting, because the first episode it feels I've watched it and I was really interested in it because the synopsis you read beforehand doesn't mention all of this stuff to introduce him like in the real world, and it felt like almost kind of anime exclusive that they put this thing first.
Yeah.
And it kind of it's not actually anime exclusive because it's an auxiliary chapter from volume 4 of the light novels, and they put it at the beginning to introduce him beforehand. And I like how they give him, the main character, they introduce him through a third person view from another character. And I just thought that was pretty interesting, like how they introduced him and how people see him from an outsider's perspective. But even then, afterwards, they go into the first person part afterwards.
Yeah.
And himself, he is an interesting character because he's lived his whole life not wanting to be like the good guy or the bad guy, but he wants to be the guy in the shadows and orchestrating everything. And it's defined his whole life up until that point. And the reason I said that you forgot existed beforehand was poetic is because he thinks that people just sort of forgot their aspirations for being like the hero or the supervillain as they grow older. And because of this, he feels like there's definitely a sense of isolation he has from other people. And he even thinks about the ultimate result of what he's doing, to be the one in the shadows controlling everything, and also like learning all these martial arts. And he thinks about, okay, well, what's the ultimate point of doing this at the end? Like, if a nuclear missile struck me, I wouldn't be able to stop it at all. And he's sort of he's questioning his purpose for living, and just this in itself. If there were no isekai element, he wasn't isekai'd and then he was surrounded by a bunch of women who were all so down bad for him. Like, if no isekai element like that, it'd make for an interesting like high school coming of age story just like by itself. And we don't actually find out exactly. Well, we find out he got hit by a truck at the end of episode 1, but we don't actually find out how he got hit by it, because how he got hit by it is revealed like in the beginning of episode 3 a bit later. And it's because he got a psychotic break and bashed his head against a rock so hard while desperately wanting more power, in this case, it's explicitly magic. And he just went completely crazy. He just ran out of the forest, just jumped like randomly into the street, and then got hit by a truck. And I was like, oh.
That's kind of fucked up.
That was messed up. And it was also cool that they revealed at the beginning of episode 3 when he's just like in a train, just thinking about like, oh, how he got here. It's like, oh yeah, that happened. I went completely crazy. And yeah, I mean, I'm still crazy. I mean, he doesn't say I'm still crazy, but he's still completely crazy. And because of this, I don't exactly know how I feel about him, because he gets into this world and he starts beheading people, chopping them up. And then in episode 2, there's a shot of one of the bandits he's fought who's hung from a noose. Like, he hung him from a noose after he, like, it's like, wow, like, you're really not a good person, are you?
I think it's so funny because, like, it's so weird that, like, what he's doing in the isekai is he's, like, founding, like, a secret organization, and he basically does it by making a bunch of shit up to the people he's recruiting. That he's saying like, oh, there's like this demon organization or something that's like infiltrated every corner of the government, so we're like an organization to stop them. But then it like starts to turn out that it seems like maybe this demon organization is real, and he just like coincidentally made up a thing that exists.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And like that brings me to the next point, actually, because he's I said it was strange feeling because I don't know, because it's a campy show and sometimes I don't feel like what if I should take it serious or not, because he himself is also like tone deaf to the seriousness of the world, but in that way, because he doesn't think that like
so he's kind of like like Deadpool.
I mean, I haven't watched Deadpool, so I wouldn't know, fortunately. But like, he doesn't believe that all the women he's surrounded with like actually being serious about like taking down this evil organization, and like he thinks that when they leave at the end of episode 2 to do something, it's just like, oh, I bet they got tired of pretending just like everyone else in the society I left, and it's like, yeah, I understand, but they're serious, and it creates this funny situation in itself, and it's not just this that's funny, it's just also other things explicitly are also funny. So there's this inner monologue about how he's commenting about all this stuff. He's like, well, I'm not sure exactly what's excellent about them surrounding a group of just normal bandits, but I'm sure that there is something excellent about it. I'm sure there's something I'm missing that they're seeing that I'm not, maybe. And like also all this other stuff about thinking, oh, this elf is a pushover, oh, they deserve an Academy Award for their brilliant acting. It's like this monologue is also explicitly like funny as well.
He's also like obsessed with acting like a background character, which I love.
Yeah, he purposefully doesn't. He could, because he also, when he's reincarnated, he's reincarnated as the youngest son of a noble family in some place in the country, and he could just like kill his older sister, who's the real heir to the family, just like really easily. But he pretends he can't do it. He doesn't do it on purpose. Otherwise, of course, he'd be the main character, which he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, I liked this show.
Ratings?
Ratings? I don't know. I don't rate things until after the show ends, but like it's just a lot. It's actually a lot to go through.
I'd give it like an 8 out of 10 so far.
Really, that high?
It's funny because in the beginning I didn't really like it. It was kind of slow to start, especially when he got isekai'd. I got kind of mad at it. I was like, what? I thought this was gonna be like a gritty, down to earth superhero show, and then he got isekai'd. And now it's like,
Aarlon, don't you look at the tags of these shows?
No, I always go in blind if I can.
Maybe you should look at the tags. You never know.
I do not. I don't even understand that.
It's fun
that's
to get
exactly
surprised.
how I determine.
I guess
That's exactly how I determine what I'm gonna watch and what I'm not gonna watch.
I mean, because it's like, what if you get isekai'd by the show, and it's like you just got isekai'd.
I like isekais for the most part.
I mean, that's
Reincarnated as
fine.
an reincarnated as an anime protagonist who got reincarnated.
I feel
What?
like when I make stories
So
of
so basically you get reincarnated as an anime protagonist who had their own independent life, who also got reincarnated.
what?
Interesting.
That's very meta. No, not meta.
Yeah, meta's the right word.
I could see them doing that at this
Inception.
point.
Okay, we haven't gone to the real episode 3 though. So as someone said it in the Justice server, Harpo Kotal said this. There's like 3 episode 1s, and that is true. And by the way, they stole this point from someone else, but they don't know from who. But it's like 3 different episode 1s, sort of, because episode 1 starts with this third person view in the real world, and episode 2 starts with him introducing his family, how he's grown up, and episode 3 is him moving to the main city to when he turns 15, because he has to train, because his family is from family of Arknights, and that in itself is also chuny in itself. He's not just a knight; he's a dark knight. So he goes to the main city to train.
Batman?
Yeah, Batman is great you bring it up, because at the end of episode 1, there is a shot of him jumping from like a building and spreading wings like under the moon, and I thought exactly of Batman. That's also chuny. And it's like, yes, it's like he is really into it, and I do respect his dedication to fulfilling his goal. It is admirable in a sense. The only thing is that he is insane. Completely insane. But there is a little bit of, I guess, maybe he thinks there's something going on, because he does beat a band who he thinks is a bandit, but is actually some like important person he wants to revive. The demon Lord Diablos, who's part of the cult, which he made up is actually real, and he defeats him and sees a locket with the guy and his daughter. It's like the typical trope of the guy dies before being able to save his daughter or whatever, and he, instead of just like throwing it away, he keeps the locket So maybe he's starting to see something
I thought that
going on.
he kept the locket just because like he felt bad for the guy.
But why would he feel bad for the guy if he's just some bandit? Because he says like, oh, he was pretty good for just some bandit.
Well, I thought that was like him showing a sign of respect, because like as during that fight, I'm pretty sure they like kind of flashed back to like what was going on with the guy, that actually he was a bit sympathetic. So I thought the point was that like, oh, even though like he sucked, the main character like recognized his strength and kept the locket to be like respectful.
That might be true. I haven't read the light novel, so maybe there's something else there.
Oh, also, I just want to mention in that fight, their swords clash where like they hit each other tip to tip, and it's extremely cool.
I mean, that was the screenshot. That was the one screenshot I took from episode 2, and it's like, I don't know. It is cool in a way.
Yeah.
But speaking of him, just more like it's not as if he does try to be like to fulfill his goal, but it's not as if he succeeds all the time. So always perfect at it. Like when he first makes up this story about this evil cult to the first henchman he recruits, he pauses and is like a bit panicking a little bit about what to make up on the spot. So he just looks around the room for anything that he could do to get her on his side. And also in episode 3, he makes this plan so he gets 2 friends in the main city, and he has to confess the most popular girl because he lost some bets, so he got last in some assignment, and so on purpose he confesses his love to her,
background character
as the perfect background character, all shaking, all nervous and stuff, and she accepts somehow. So that's also funny in that sense. And his relationship with her, who is Alicia Midgar, I think she's a member of like one of the most. Alicia's older sister is considered the most powerful Dark Knight in the country at that moment, and she accepts Sid, the main character is called Sid, offer like love confession because she wants to get away from an arranged marriage. And episode 3, in contrast to episode 1 and 2, which are about 2 different things, episode 3 mainly focuses on just her interactions with him, and she's very commanding, and she's pretty. I mean, she also has insecurities, but she's pretty commanding, and just the interactions between those two are actually my favorite part of the show from the first 3 episodes. Just them interacting with each other. And she's voiced by Kana Hanazawa, who I didn't really care for previously, but then now is when I'm like, oh, I recognize her voice. I like it. Also because she voiced a character in Gekidol who I liked, and just it's like, yeah, I like her quite a bit. What do you think about her?
She's great. I agree. She is like one of the best parts of the show so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's another funny moment I saw the manga adaptation panels beforehand, but there's a funny moment where Sid doesn't want to really do this thing, pretend to be a boyfriend, and she shows a gold coin, and tosses it, and becomes a dog because he's like, oh, do you really think I've come across someone who do stuff for money? And he's like, yes, I am. And he just does it. Yeah. It's like, yeah. But then I also like how the relationship near the end of the episode becomes more serious when he questions her insecurity by saying, well, she's not confident in her fighting style, and she hates it how like plain it is, and she wants to be as good as her sister and such. And he says basically, well, I like it, so like it's good and I like it, and I get pissed off when people don't dismiss the things that I like, and that tells us something about him as well, because of what he said in episode 1 about other people forgetting about their aspirations, and him just somehow being the only one who wants to keep doing this thing, and just linking back to that part of him. So there's something about him as well as her, and she eventually, she walks away with awkward pause as well, while pointing a sword at him. But
And
like
then
that
he
moment
gets
also
arrested.
really good. And then he gets arrested, and then he finally says like, "Oh, I'm actually in a little bit of trouble."
Good cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's a good cliffhanger. I literally was out loud saying like, "Ah, it has to be the cliffhanger now. Come on."
That's the problem with watching seasonals. You gotta wait.
Well, thing is, it would be at the end of 3 episodes I watch anyway. So I always watch things in 3 episodes maximum. 4 episodes, I already start to feel like I'm pushing some limit. I don't want to push even further. But I guess the last main thing I want to say, because there's all more and more. I mean, the action itself is nothing special, and he loves the ideal conditions he's in because he's not the heir to the family, which is also funny because you expect him as the son to be the heir. But no, he says like, "Oh, my abilities are progressing quickly, but I'm not the heir. It's actually my sister." And the camera zooms out to show his sister, and that's also funny as well because it also emphasizes the ideal conditions, and it just like subverts expectations, you know.
Yeah, the meme.
Yeah. But the last thing I wanted to say actually is that he wants to be the one in the story who operates from the shadows, showing everyone their greatness. That's what the sub said. So he says showing everyone their greatness before doing a front flip in the air, which is very funny and cool. And it was like, that's an interesting way to look at things, because later on episode 2, he does say like, "I wish I could go to the capital," because he's not old enough yet. And it's like but until he's old enough, and goes in episode 3. It's like, "Oh, it's a giant metropolis that doesn't even compare to this village, and there's bound to be some character there in the position of the main protagonist, and I bet there's a last boss too." And he's excited by that. So combine that with him wanting to show everyone their greatness, it makes me think that he does want to be part of society in some way, and he wants to be part of the big story, but he wants to be part of it just in a different way, just by pulling the strings of the story so that both the heroes and the villains shine more, and so that makes the story more epic. So I don't know how the light novels go, but if the light novels slowly revealed this part of him, this positive, intention behind it, that would be really interesting, and I want to know like more, because especially since this season actually it's 20 episodes. It's not 13 or 12, it's 20. So that was also interesting. So we'll see a bit more of this. But yeah, that really stood out to me actually. It's fun. It is fun. And the music's by I'll just say the music's by Kenichiro Suehiro, who did ReZero, Shadow's House, Grand Belm, Spectral Luco. And the voice acting cast is pretty stacked actually. So there's Kana Hanazawa as Alexia. Then there's Asami Seto, Inori Minase, Ai Rose, Suzukomi Mori, Yoko Ikasa, and even one of his friends, his 2 friends are voiced by Yoshitsugu Matsuoka and Shin Matsushige, and it's like, wow, this is pretty stacked.
I will pretend I know who those people are.
I'm sure people in the audience will know. Yoshitsugu Matsuoka is Kirito and Sora from No Game No Life.
Oh yeah, that sounded familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Sid is voiced by Seitro Yamashita. I don't know who else he voiced, but yeah. Yeah, we can move on. We can talk about OPs and EDs at the end.
Yeah.
And on to the next show. Yet another show that I intended to watch, but unfortunately did not get around to. Reincarnated as a sword. All right.
It's another one only I've seen. And the reason I really wanted to talk about this one isn't actually because of Reincarnated as a sword. Because, the first episode of the show, if you've seen that time I got reincarnated as a slime, it's almost
like
identical. It's a guy, he gets isekai'd, and he wakes up
big surprise
as a sword. But
wow. Oh. I'm sorry.
I mean,
This
it's
season
something.
is the season of this season is the season of inanimate
Objects.
objects
Oh my god, it
because
is! You got chain
there's this
swords and swords!
there's
Sword and
this show,
Microphones.
and then there was the other one I wanted to watch where somebody gets reincarnated as a microphone,
What?
which I unfortunately never got to watch.
There still has to be the anime adaptation of that story where the guy gets reincarnated as a vending machine.
Oh my
Okay,
God. Is
so
that
that's
real?
the
That
real.
has to be real.
That is the real
And then there
reason
was a-
Yeah, it
I
is, it is.
wanted to
Oh my
talk
God.
And then there
about.
was a movie where a guy was a chair.
When I ever do isekai stuff, the character doesn't die, they just escape to another world by going through some magic portal or some sewer to get to another place. That's it. No one dies, they just go elsewhere.
But who will get hit by a car?
No, they just go to another world in their dreams. Duh.
But yeah, so he, as a sword, he can still use skills, so he can levitate and use telekinesis, and when he kills a monster he absorbs its powers. So it's the same as slime, where he just kills a bunch of monsters and keeps working his way up, and then he plants himself in the ground and he can't get up. He's fallen and he can't get up.
I have
fallen and he can't get up.
and I can't get up.
Yeah. And then kind of parallel to this, there's a cute cat girl who's a slave that they keep cutting to, and she just says I want to get stronger, I want to get stronger.
I
And
no
then,
longer want to be baby, I want power.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then her slave caravan thing gets attacked by monsters, and they kill everyone but her, and conveniently the sword is right there, and she pulls them out of the ground and kills the monsters, and thus their journey together begins.
A life of long friendship awaits.
A girl and a sword.
What could possibly go wrong?
Wait, hang on. A furry and a talking sword?
Sonic and the
Is
Black
this
Knight!
Sonic and the Black Knight?
I was thinking about that before. It's
Wow.
That's right. It's
Oh my God.
exactly like
Holy
Sonic.
shit, this is just an anime adaptation of Sonic and the Black Knight, but they replaced Sonic with a cat girl. Cool. I might watch it, because I did see a cover of it. The art did look nice, but I was just oh, it's another isekai show. I'm sure it's nothing too special.
And so here's the thing. After that, that's the first episode. And after that, it becomes very, very bog standard. That's the usual isekai thing that they register at the
The
guild.
first episode is always the strongest episode, and then everything after that is hella mid.
Yeah, kind of true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So when I watched the show, I was looking at the comments, and everyone was comparing it to that vending machine manga. And I just that premise was how could I not at least check it out? So I went and read the vending machine manga, and it is so fucking good.
Great.
Wow.
I love the vending machine
So
manga.
basically, you wish that got an anime adaptation instead of
Okay.
this.
It's
But
getting
what-
one,
but what
so we
ki-
might
oh,
talk
good.
about
No, it
it.
is getting
What kind of vending machine was it? Was it a drink vending machine? The snack vending machine? Was it?
I think in the beginning it's a snack vending machine. But he gets the ability to change into different vending machines
Oh,
later
so
on.
it sounds like an SCP.
But okay, so what's amazing about it is when he in the sword isekai, right? He might as well just be a person because he can float, he can talk to people, he can kill monsters. He's basically just a person. He doesn't really need a wielder.
It doesn't change anything for him.
Yeah, exactly. In the vending machine isekai, he's totally screwed. All he can do the only thing he can do that a vending machine can't is he can generate a shield at a cost. But like everything else is like he can't talk. He can only use pre-recorded vending machine phrases.
Oh wow.
Oh my god.
He can't move around. He has like a
love
reserve
that.
of energy that gets depleted unless he gets a constant stream of income from people buying snacks.
Oh my god.
And he has to work around those limitations. And that's what
That sounds like a metaphor for real life.
that's what the
my
sword
God,
isekai
yeah.
is really missing. Is that like the fact that he's a vending machine really affects the plot in a great way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like if you're going to go the route of having someone be reincarnated as an inanimate object, the object itself has to be an interesting one that you can actually do stuff with. Because I don't think there's a whole lot you can do with a sword. I don't think.
I mean, I think they could make it interesting.
Can you shoot energy beams or something?
Yeah, something like that. That would make it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let him levitate. That's the worst
Yeah.
part.
You know, it should be
Caliban.
like it should be it should be like you know in Kirby in the Forgotten Land where Kirby can like, you know, have the ability to use like objects, and one of them is like the vending machine. What if it could like move and stuff and like shoot cans out of its like entry bit where you like get the, you know, the snack or the drink, and it just waddles around and it causes mayhem wherever it goes. It's like, oh my god, that vending machine is haunted, but it's giving us free soda, free food, and soda for everyone.
I don't want to spoil anything, but like, they utilize his vending machine powers for fighting related stuff, and it is amazing.
That's good. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. The vending machine manga, I give like a strong 8. It might go higher. Also, vending machine romance with an anime girl, much better than sword romance. Just saying.
Yeah, but Aarlon, you can use a sword, but you can't use a vending machine. I mean, if you use a sword, that might have permanent damage, but you can use a sword.
Very cursed,
never
but
mind.
thank you for putting that idea in our head, Coco.
Like you can have relations with the sword. Anyway, moving on. Is that it? Is that
Yeah,
it
I give
for,
it a 6 out of 10. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Next show. This is another show that was pretty looked forward to. It's a revival. I was gonna say rebuild, but I guess it's a rebuild. But so the show is Urusei Yatsura, which is a revival of an old show. There's a lot of hype surrounding this one. Yet another remake of a classic show. What do you guys think about it? Megan, why don't you tell us what you thought about Urusei Yatsura?
Okay, so I've only seen the first episode, sorry.
You're cutting them out a little bit.
Yeah, I know I'm cutting out because Discord hates me. I need to get closer. Alright, okay. So the funny alien girl that will wreck your shit up.
Yeah.
So I actually knew about this anime before. Well, not the remake, but is it a remake or it's not a reboot? It's more of a remake. Yeah,
This is a
remake.
remake, yeah. This is a
So it
remake.
was one of those characters that was like, you know, a popular anime. Oh gosh, hold on, there we go. She was Lum was one of those characters that I've seen a lot as such, and I was like, oh, she's one of those, you know, well-known characters that kind of started the whole, like, I guess waifu sort of thing. I feel like she was kind of like the poster child of it.
The character that sort of pioneered the
Pioneer,
Tsundere.
that's the word.
Yeah.
The only
And I
things.
hate her for it, because now it's one of the most overused character templates in all of
Yeah,
anime.
the tsundere type, which I
Yeah.
didn't realize she was a tsundere. I thought it was the human girlfriend that was like the tsundere one, and she was like kind of more chilled, I guess. From like, when I saw Oliver, she always had this very kind of like friendly tone to her, but not really, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But how but I will say I love how it looks visually. It's
It
gorgeous
is
to look
beautiful.
at. Like, oh my gosh, they went all out.
And the style is like
Yeah, the style
not.
and the opening.
It's different.
The opening
It looks really different.
is like really colorful. I love all its little nods to like the manga and such, but it's like all animated. That like it's such it's just like there was a lot of love put into it.
Mhm.
God, what am I gonna...
That's good.
Yeah. Sorry, the one thing you need to learn about me is that I'm terrible at remembering anime characters' names. So I'm so
Yeah.
sorry if I.
There are people like that. Just don't worry.
I just recognize how they look, just not by the names most times.
I only remember
The Indian girl
Lum.
is called Lum.
Yeah,
I
Lum.
think.
I
Yeah.
do, but the one thing that I do like, so the one thing I saw before the remake was the BBC dub,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool. Oh, there is fireworks outside because it's the 5th of November over here in the UK.
I was gonna
Yep.
say
If they're gonna be-
I've also only seen the BBC dub, and
God,
I
those
was like,
fireworks.
I am not watching this unless they make one.
Oh my god, I
of-
hope they...
about what.
The BBC are never gonna dub this. I would be
But
funny if they
there
would. It would
was a
be
guy.
the best thing ever, but they're not. They're not.
There
That
was
whole...
a guy. I forget his name, but
Oh, sorry.
like he's a British voice actor, I think, and he got like his friends to do like a fan recreation of the
Yeah, I
BBC
saw that.
dub.
It was great. I thought it was...
Yeah.
Like, I thought they
was
actually
really
took audio from the actual, original dub of the British dub, but no, it was actually... It was actually, they managed to redo the voices so well. What else? 'Cause
They should be hired to do an official dub.
oh, please, BBC, please get like this. You know what's the sucky thing about it? It only had 2 episodes because I think it was just a one-off thing that was like for a special
Yeah.
event they were doing on a defunct BBC channel. And what happened? There were voice actors for it. I think mostly comedic actors, like comedy actors that were in it.
Yeah.
However, for some reason, on their IMDb page, they have never been credited to be voiced in it. So I don't know if the BBC doesn't want anyone to remember that this show existed, this dub, or something like they just wanted this thing to be wiped out, maybe because maybe it didn't do well or something, or just I don't know. It's so bizarre. Like no one has they haven't been credited on like their IMDb pages. But that being said, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is gonna sound really cursed and really fucking stupid, but who's the main character's name of
Ataru.
Ataru? I'm so sorry to say this, but I can't help and think that he looks like an I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say he looks like an anime version of Alex.
No. I was saying that he looks like an anime version of Eric Foreman from that 70s show. I think it's the stripy,
I see it.
It's like I cannot see it. It's like they look exactly the same. I don't know. They just look kind of similar. I think it's the hair and the stripy polo shirt that he wears, the long sleeve one. I don't know. I've been also watching that 70s show as well whenever I'm bored, but no, that's all I wanted to say. I'm really sorry for that really cursed comparison. So make that what you will. Anyways,
Aarlon, do you have any thoughts on?
I'm
mean,
sorry.
we-
I
We
feel
mostly just been talking
No, you're
about
good, you're
the British dub. But we didn't really even get into what this show is exactly, because it's pretty wild, the
Oh my
premise
god,
Mm.
that,
it's very
It's
80s, if that's the
yeah.
best way to put
two
it.
girls compete, well, not really competing, but like trying to get one guy to choose between the two of them and him not really being able to commit.
I would not describe it that way at all, actually.
Oh,
It's like, at least from like the first couple of episodes, that like they kind of get. So aliens invade the Earth. There's an alien invasion, and the aliens are like, okay, we'll back off if you guys choose a champion, or like randomly select a champion to compete against the princess of like our empire. And if you win the competition, we won't take over the world. And of course, the person that gets selected is the main character.
Atari.
So he has to catch Lum, who is the princess, in like an
Mm-hmm.
allotted amount of time. And of course, he can't do it because like she can fly and shoot lightning.
And has rainbow colored hair. Like sometimes her hair will get all like
It's so
rainbowy.
shiny.
She'll just go into gay mode and just wreck some
Pride
shit up.
mode.
Pride mode, yeah.
Now that's what I call true Saiyan pride. Super Saiyan pride.
Oh hell yeah. But no, like, it's I guess in some ways like, from what I've heard, they kind of toned down. What's his name? I already forgot his name. The main character.
Atari?
Ataru. This is going to be really annoying, and I apologize this front up that I will forget characters' names because I am stupid. Okay, I'm a very stupid person. So please never take anything I say seriously most of the times because I am not bright. Yeah. But Ataru, from what I've heard, they kind of toned him down a lot more in the remake to make him, I guess, less jerky or just like less of a creep, I guess.
That makes sense.
Wasn't it like, I don't know who the author was, but I know who, like, their name. I can't remember the name, but I think they're the same people that later on made Rama and a half, Rama 1.5, and Inuyasha. I think I could be wrong.
It's interesting you say that, because that makes perfect sense. And even though like in a way that sounds like maybe they were trying to make it like less problematic in a way by making him less creepy, I feel like it almost hurt them, because like, yeah, like, it's not like you said, Coco, like he's got kind of like wandering eyes, but mostly he's just like all in on his current girlfriend. And he, like I was saying, he can't catch Lum until his girlfriend comes in and she's like, all right, if you can do this, I will marry you.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. So he like goes into a frenzy and he's like chasing Lum just relentlessly, and he's shouting like, marriage, marry me.
And then, oh no, misunderstandings happen, and Lum's like, oh, you want to marry me? It's like, no, that's not what I meant. And it's just like, oh, here we go.
I have a feeling that this anime pioneered a lot of tropes that would define the romance
it's
genre.
Yep.
it's the one that started it all. We're gone full circle.
From then on,
Damn.
it's
I can't
just
tell
like,
if that makes the original Urusei Yatsura the best show ever or the worst show ever.
he has basically no interest in Lum. He doesn't like Lum. And Lum is basically just stalking him, being like, why are you cheating on me with this girl who is his girlfriend and the person he wants to marry? But she's like, what? No, you're my husband, so I'm going to like electrocute you and try and isolate you. And it's like, damn. If you like, I know it's supposed to be funny, but I'm just looking at it thinking like, this is fucked up. This is like kind of
Yeah.
abusive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like that in a lot of rom-coms.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
what I was talking about in the waifu episode, that it's kind of weird how they write the waifus
I guess
sometimes.
it's just their way of writing comedy or romantic comedy like that. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I don't want to.
I really,
Nah.
I wish like Delirium or someone was here that like really likes this show, because I know like I feel bad because like so much of our friend group is like head over heels for this show. They're always like posting gifs of Lum or whatever about how much they love her.
Oh,
And
I
I
mean,
just feel really
same.
bad because I'm over here kind of being like, it's really well made, but I'm too woke. All I can
I'm
do is
actually
Yeah,
on a
but
cry about
slightly
it.
I'm on a slightly different wavelength when it comes to the visuals because it is a pretty good looking show, but I feel like it kind of falls into the trap that a lot of modern day remakes of old shows fall into, where like I mean I know you guys said you liked it, but I really don't like when they make remakes of like old shows, they make the colors like really bright and incredibly saturated compared to the original
No, I
version.
get you.
Like they did it with I think they did it with the remake of Rurouni Kenshin, I believe. Um like one show that I think that well, it's not a show. One thing that I kind of think avoids doing it is yeah, actually there is a show. Astro Boy 2003, I think kind of avoids it, sort of. And then there's the rebuilds of Ava, which I also think do a pretty good job of avoiding having that overly saturated look. But then it kind of makes sense that they would avoid that with the rebuilds of Ava because Ava is supposed to be like this sort of grounded, serious kind of anime, whereas Urusei Yatsura is like this sort of comedy, lighthearted show, so bright colors
Yeah.
kind of make sense. But I am someone who is kind of nostalgic for the sort of more realistic, slightly desaturated colors of the cell shaded days of anime.
I totally
Um,
get what you're saying, Coco, but also, like, yeah, if there was ever a time to make it super oversaturated, it was probably for this show.
Yes.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
it is
it
beautiful.
works. I think it works for what it is, and I feel like I might continue to watch it just because it's pretty to look at. And I just again, I hope it gets dubbed. It's probably not going to be dubbed in like the British dub, which is a shame. But that's likely not going to happen,
Someone should
unfortunately.
make an abridge.
Yes, and the bridge would be great. Oh, actually, I want to bring up an interesting fact. There's actually a band named after this anime. It's a British band, I believe.
Named after Urusei
Yeah,
Yatsura?
there is an actual band named after this anime. I'm not joking. Look it up.
I believe it.
So I guess the Brits are really into this show then.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's weird because like we're not very known for like anime stuff, but we kind of are. Like, I don't know. We've had
Anime didn't really take off here because it doesn't air on TV as much as it does in the US. We don't have like Adult Swim,
No,
so
it's kind because okay, there actually was a time and place where anime was kind of airing on TV, like on certain channels and such, but I guess just kind of different because we did have Toonami at one point. It just kind of like I think kind of died around the 2000s. We got it pretty late compared to America. Like the history of like anime over in the UK is like really fascinating, and I don't know. I could go on a whole tangent about it, but I don't want to waste any time.
yeah, yeah. Um, so any closing thoughts on Urusei Yatsura ratings?
I don't really do ratings. I just put my seal of approval if I like it.
I'm the only
Official
one that does
MC
ratings.
Gemstones seal of approval.
I just will put this little heart in the corner and just be like,
Yeah.
wow, very colorful smiley face.
And the next
Wait,
show.
I didn't rate it. 6 out of 10. Thank you.
Glad that we get to see. I still can't get over that. I still can't.
And the next show we
Freaking
have
Aaron
on the
Foreman looking
list
as.
is Darling in the Frank. No, I'm
What?
kidding. Mobile Suit
I
Gundam,
was like,
The Witch from
hold
Mercury.
up.
How dare you compare the show to Darling in the
The Witch
Franxx?
from
I've never
Mercury.
seen Darling, but maybe one day.
And all right. So I'm gonna start this off. Okay, so I did watch the show, and it's decent. Okay. I wouldn't call it a bad show under any stretch of the imagination. However, okay, I saw something about this show that triggered me deeply. If anyone
Oh,
knows how I
Coco.
feel about anime and how, for the lack of a better word, incestuous, and I don't mean that in the sister whatever. I mean self-influencing, uh trend chasing kind of way. Uh I really dislike that. I hate how self-influencing and incestuous anime is.
Nah, I like it.
And when I heard that this new version of Gundam, I mean, I'm not a Gundam fan. I want to preface it by saying that. So I have like no personal investment in this whatsoever. But when I heard that they were taking the show into a whole new direction to try and appeal it to younger anime fans, and they were deliberately looking at like what's popular in current anime, which is the reason why this show takes place in a high school-esque setting, I was mad. I was deeply upset. Now,
Yikes.
uh, because I don't like it. I want more original stuff, and I don't like it when shows deliberately go out of their way to lean on tropes for maximum profitability. So, you know, and I was just thinking, why not just make something new? Because if they're gonna use the Gundam name, it's obviously gonna attract old fans, but if they're gonna take it in a new direction like this, I don't get why they wouldn't just make something new, especially, I mean, I'm not that familiar with the original
I
Gundam
mean,
series,
it
I
has
mean,
some
but
tropes, but it's not like a
you
total
know,
copy of other shows or anything.
yeah, like
yeah,
I
it's
haven't watched
not.
any. I haven't watched any Gundam myself, but I'm pretty sure like a school setting is already a bit different from other Gundam shows. So in that sense, it is new.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of mindset when it comes to developing something. I think it's the wrong way to go about it, especially because I feel like there's way too much of that in anime already, and I just want something new and unique, and that's something that I feel has been well, there was some decent stuff this season, but generally speaking, in recent times, I feel like that's something that's kind of been missing. So yeah, like I'm just hoping that like this won't happen with other long time existing franchises because I was thinking like what if someone who got like an editorial position on Dragon Ball decided to go in with that mindset too and they
Then we
decided to
would
make
get the
Dragon Ball.
Gohan show we deserved.
No, we'd get Dragon Ball
True.
Evolution, which was a terrible movie. It was absolute garbage. Dragon Ball Evolution is pretty much exactly what you would get if someone decided, I'm gonna make like Dragon Ball in high school with romance subplot and puberty and stuff. So please don't ever do that with Dragon Ball. I really hope it doesn't happen with any other long time
Uh,
existing franchises. At
well,
least
we'll see.
franchises that I care about. You can do it with any other
Uh,
franchise, but don't do it with franchises that I care about. Don't do it with
don't
Naruto. Well, Naruto's already a high school kind of thing. But yeah,
don't touch the
as for the show
dragon.
itself, the show is actually decent. Okay, I know I prefaced it by making it sound like I think it's a bad show, but the show itself is actually decent. And yeah, no, it's a good show.
Coco, would you care to. You kind of just launched straight into the complaints, but would you care to talk about what the show actually is?
Oh, well, the show is okay. Well, I didn't really write much about what the show actually is, but like I said just before we started this, the plot kind of, at least for the first two episodes that I've seen, the first three rather, or two and a half, because we started recording this as I was halfway through the third episode. The plot is Utena-esque. Okay, it centers around a girl called Ericht. Er, uh, and she just transferred
I'm
into
sorry.
a high school
Suleta, which
that
makes me kind of uncomfortable because it kind of sounds like
like
slut.
slut. Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of
Wait.
sounds like slut.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, but she just transferred into a new school, and it's a school on mecha piloting, I guess, question mark. And she pilots a Gundam called Ariel or something, which
We don't
I
know that it's a Gundam.
I didn't, or Gund Arm. I don't even know.
Yeah,
Gund
it's a
Arm.
gun. Oh, that was one of the funniest moments though, when like the person is like Gundam,
Yeah, there's Gund
Gundam.
Arm, and then there's Gund Arm, and then there's just Gund, and then there's Gundam.
They
So
like
I'm just
hear
like,
Gundam and then they're like, wait a minute, could this be a Gundam?
A gun
Because they're
yeah, I
like
dam.
don't know.
illegal apparently.
Okay, I'm just gonna say a mecha called Ariel that she has sort of like a unique connection to because she was the one that got it to activate when she was like a child in like the first episode. The first episode is kind of like sort of like backstory. It shows like how she activated the mech, how her dad died, uh, stuff like that. It's sort of just centered around establishing her connection to the mech that she uses. And she kind of sees it almost like a sister because they kind of refer to it as family and stuff. And I think, did the mom create it or something, or she helped create it? Something
Yeah,
like that.
the mom created, I think. Was that supposed to be the mom in the second episode wearing like the
With the black
robot
hair. Yeah, that
mask?
was her. That was
Okay.
her. Yeah. So she transferred into this school and oh yeah, in the beginning of the second episode, she saves this girl called Mionore or something like that, I think. And as it turns out, she was trying to run away from the school because in the school, there are people who are dueling for the right to marry her, and she's currently engaged to this guy who's basically like the episode two villain of, I guess you could
Yeah.
say.
He
Uh,
she lost to a duel against this guy, so now she's
yeah,
betrothed to him.
yeah, she's betrothed to him, and so Utena, I mean Eric, now has to
Correct.
step in and, well, I mean, she didn't want to at first, but she has to because she wants to help her friend out. Um, so they do a mecha duel and she wins, and now Miyonora is engaged to Eri. Um, and she's like, "What? But we can't do that. I'm a woman." And she's like, "Oh, you must come from a very conservative planet because on our planet, this is actually pretty common," which kind of made me laugh.
You make it sound dumb, but it was awesome. It was an incredible hook for the end of episode 1.
It made me laugh. But
Woohoo!
yeah, no, this is definitely robot. This is definitely Mecha Utena, like no question. Even the third episode, it's still about the guy trying to get her hand in marriage back. Also, there's something about like, so the reason why, because his dad is like trying to get him to maintain his engagement to her so that they can get the company that this guy Denlings or something, Denil, whatever, he owns like a company or something to do with the production of all this like space related stuff. Uh but then he wants to assassinate him because like, well, if I assassinate him, he'll be out of the way, and my son will basically inherit the company by being married to his daughter. But then obviously Eri beats the guy in a fight, so now she's the one who's engaged to Miyanote, and what is it? Now the dad is trying to get him to fight her again so that they can retake the place so that they can get the
Is
company.
wait, is this the third episode? Because the second
No,
episode, she's like under. She gets like arrested under suspicion of piloting a Gundam, which is apparently like illegal. Uh, and it's like a whole.
I just remember catching it was probably at the beginning of the third episode, but like the dad was planning to assassinate the guy who like runs all this stuff. I think the guy who runs this stuff is Miyonore's dad.
Yeah.
So he wanted to assassinate him to get him out of the way, and then the son would inherit the company once because even though the planet is apparently progressive enough to have lesbians, it's
Ayo.
not progressive enough to have women inheriting the companies when their father
Oh.
dies. But whatever.
By
That
the
makes
way,
sense.
the
But
part where like she confronts her dad and she like calls him a hypocrite was so raw. That was such a good moment.
yeah, no, it was fine. I thought it was okay. I liked it. Arlon, what do you have to say about
I
Mecha
mean,
Utami?
I liked it quite a bit actually. I mean, obviously, like, it is really interesting because, like you said, it's like not at all what you'd expect a Gundam show to be like. So
Yeah.
I can understand if like a longtime Gundam fan would be upset at this show, but just like in a
Mhm.
vacuum, I think it's great.
There
And the
definitely are there definitely are some people who are upset with the show, but from what I understand, it was for slightly different reasons other than them shifting the audience that they're aiming the show towards.
the
Um,
Gundam fans I've seen talk about it have liked it, which surprised me. But
I've seen some people basically like crapping on it for having lesbians and
that's dumb.
having a female protagonist and stuff like that.
Because
Like
God
I
basically
mean,
there's
forbid women do anything.
Gundam is famous for being sexist, is what's funny.
yeah.
Cringe.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I was gonna say that like from what I can tell, and I'm definitely not basing this off of the fact that the only people I know who like Gundam are Drax and Cinema Snub. From what I can understand, uh, Gundam seems to attract like a sort of for the lack of a better term, people who are super into like these macho-y type shows, or like, like masculine type shows. It seems to attract those kinds of people. And, sometimes there's a bit of an overlap between those kinds of people and I guess
Gah.
people who have sort of traditional trains of thought, for the lack of a better term to put it. So, yeah, some people who didn't like this show were basically criticizing it because it was progressive. It didn't really have
Mm.
anything to do with the change in direction in terms of setting or anything like that. I saw like a lot of people were basically saying, here come the Gundam fans calling Witch from Mercury an SJW anime," which to me
Bruh.
is really funny because it's not that different from like tons and tons of anime we've seen come out at this point. I
It's
mean,
so fucking
Yuri
stupid.
Yuri is not new to anime at this point at all,
Girls Love's
and
been
neither is
around
having a female
forever.
protagonist. I mean, this anime kind of reminded me of Gunbuster a
I
little
mean, of
bit,
course, it's a mecha
just a
that
tiny
came out
bit.
after Gunbuster. Gunbuster's pretty
But
influential
yeah.
in itself.
I mean, so obviously, like, the complaining about SJW stuff is stupid and baseless. But it is
hmm
funny, though, that, like, watching this, I was kind of thinking, like, I think Kiko might enjoy this. Which is like,
Why do you think that?
it was I just got that vibe out of it that like
Okay, that's cool.
the main girl, like, I think you'd like her.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Also, it's interesting. It's once again. It's kind of goes back to the Coco. You were complaining about like newer shows being oversaturated. In this show, like it kind of looks like a Trigger show, even though I think it's like
it kind of does. It kind of does.
A little bit.
Sunrise, but
It reminds me of one like the main character, Eri. I don't know why, but she reminds me of. Does anyone remember Star Wars Visions?
Yeah,
That
well, I haven't
furry
seen
girl,
it, but I want to
that
watch
furry
it.
girl that everyone really liked. For some reason, like she reminds me
Yeah.
of her. The I don't know if she was like a cat girl or something, but yeah, like design wise, there was just something about her that reminded me of her. But I don't know if Trigger were the ones who did that episode. I'm not sure. But yeah. The only thing that did kind of bother me about how the characters were colored in this, it's a minor thing, but it's just these things that you notice. Like the girl characters specifically have like a blush effect on their faces. And normally that wouldn't bother me because like a lot of anime do that to try and make the girls look kind of cute. But they placed it under their eyes and it makes it look like their eyes are swollen from like having just finished bawling their eyes out, and I can't get past it.
Style
It
choice,
looks weird.
maybe. That's my guess.
Yeah. Or
well,
maybe it's intentional because when they
Yeah.
pilot these, they have like things that happen under their eyes, and maybe it's leftovers from that, or I don't know. I'm
It
probably
could
reading
be
too much.
that. Take that what you will.
Yeah.
Art is subjective, and everyone has their own interpretation. So yeah.
But yeah, Arlon, you said how dare I compare this show to Darling in the Franxx, but I feel like if you showed someone a screenshot of this show out of context, some people would mistake it for Darling in the Franxx.
well,
And
that's
you said that
because
it
it
looks
looks like Trigger.
trigger-ish. You said it looks trigger-ish, and Franxx is trigger baby mode. Go watch that video. It's a good video.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was Trigger and A1 team up.
yeah. It's just like the sort of sci-fi setting and like the uniform they wear and like the character designs. It's kind of reminiscent of that show. Um, but yeah, no, it kind of looks Darling in the Franxx like, but it's not as boring. I've
Yeah, it's
only seen
better.
like 2 episodes of this, and I'm pretty confident that it's way better than that by
Yeah.
like miles.
I'd give this so far I'd give it a 7, but depending on how it goes, I could easily see it going up.
Okay. Um, yeah, I think we've said basically everything that is to say
Yeah.
about Witch Mercury. Go watch Evangelion instead. Go watch Gunbuster
Watch both.
instead. Uh, go watch Diebuster instead. But don't watch Darling in the Franxx. Okay. Next up we've got Bocchi the Rock. Kiko, do you want to introduce this one?
Of course I do, because Bocchi the Rock can be summarized in 10 words or less. Based, epic, kino, soul, and she just like me for real.
True.
She just like me for real.
True.
This show comes.
This Bocchi, I had canon as autistic coded.
I mean,
okay.
Most certainly.
I mean,
She is. Oh, sorry.
unfortunately, I'm not an expert on like actual mental diagnosis, but yeah, she has really high social anxiety, and it's about her being invited to join a band and just learning to be social and have fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she comes from the closet with love. Like she really wants to change. She really wants to be better than
She
herself.
is trying
And that's
so hard.
that's good. And she's trying really hard. And what's great about Bocchi the Rock is that it has a lot of details that make it great. And that's why it feels a little daunting at first to start talking about it, other than in the vague terms, like what I summarized it as. Because it's just so much in the way visually it presents the situations, the emotions of the characters,
The reaction faces.
the reaction
so
phases
good.
are so good,
Yes.
especially in episode
I
3.
love those faces.
The voice acting, the Yoshino Aoyama, who voiced the main character Hitori Goto, who's nicknamed Bocchi, she does a great job just every step of the way, especially when she emotes. Just so much. I don't even know where should we start. I mean, I guess we can talk about the social anxiety part.
I could probably start.
Yeah, go ahead.
So with someone like me, if I didn't mention this before, I'm autistic. I am diagnosed with autism, and I also have anxiety. And it was one of those animes that I felt very connected to. I haven't seen all of it, not because I didn't like it. It's just sometimes some animes take me a while to get really into. And I'm terrible at catching up on things. But what I liked about it is, like, you know, it was done in a very kind of positive way, because I feel like this is like a kind of better version of Watamote, because Watamote was very cynical, and I don't like it for what it was. It was kind of relatable if you're kind of like an awkward shut-in like me most times.
Edgier than you.
But this one, in particular, Bocchi, was very, like, you know, she's very shy. She has trouble interacting with people. However, as I've heard, she gets better and tries to overcome it, which is good. It's good to see progress like that, but it's okay to be nervous, and it's okay to have, you know, social anxiety. It's a normal thing, and I always feel bad for, like, you know, when people have it, and, like, there's those that kind of put people down for having it, because we live in a very ableist society. So people like us that have autism or are on the spectrum of sorts, or just, you know, neurodivergent, this world wasn't really built for us.
Yeah.
Because it was built in a very neurotypical kind of world. So it's hard for people like us to, like, you know, interact with normal people and try to live our lives, and we just feel like, you know, we don't fit in, and that's okay to not always fit in. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going.
No, I'm just the way also she internalizes that anxiety about the world not really noticing her or helping her apart from her parents. But just the way also she thinks about, oh, if this happens, it will go on Twitter and then I'll get the death penalty and be a completely outcast, and killed for doing all this. And, like,
it's very real stuff.
never even when she tries to talk to two of her classmates, she imagines like, oh, they'll make fun of her, and all that. And then she goes sit in a corner eating lunch under the stairs, and she cries. Like, it's not depicted in, like, a really sad way, but, like, she's, like, moping, and she cries about it, and it's just like,
She is an incredibly sad character, because, like, we haven't really mentioned, but kind of the premise of this show is that she's a person with no friends that heard that people, like, in a band who can play the guitar really well are really popular. So she just relentlessly trained herself to be amazing on the guitar, hoping that that would get her friends, and then it didn't.
The story of my life.
and, like, well, eventually it does, but she doesn't want to admit that. So she, for example, when one cat asks her, oh, why do you do it? She's like, world peace, I guess. World peace, I guess, yeah. But yeah, she obviously has this grand anxiety, but yeah, she feels bad about it because she doesn't like where she is, so she wants to keep improving. And in her efforts, she also feels like her identity, when she sees, like, extroverted people, like, her own identity is being challenged. Like, for example, there's a scene where she tries to approach someone to invite them back to invite them to the band because they're looking for a singer, and she looks at her and like talking with other people and like having friends, and she feels like her identity is going to pop. And I thought that aspect of it was also really interesting, how it approaches it, the anxiety and society as a whole from this angle, but also other angles as well, with this extra, also contrast with extroversion, and how she's like a little jealous of this extroversion and the confidence. Well, she's not jealous of the extroversion, but she's a little jealous of just people being confident, and all that. And it's cute, and it is also inspiring in that way. Because it does matter. Because you are inspired by people around you, and how she just tries to absorb what's going on, and find the best way to move forward, even if it comes off awkwardly sometimes, even if she feels like, oh, I said that too loudly, but it's okay. It's good to let your feelings out, and it's good to let your feelings out. It's good to grab a guitar right there and then, when someone's showing you where the drinks are on the bar so that you can work there successfully part-time. Just get the guitar out and just jam on the guitar so that you can remember where each drink is. It's good to do that. It's good to be... it's good to do that. And there's a character, the manager of the club where their band performs, who notices this and is like, oh, I don't want to like, I don't want like my little sister to like keep pestering her about this little thing, so I'll just stop her and let her do what she wants.
I thought.
Well, yeah, it's just like, where do you even go? It's just like, as I said, there's so many details, just in general. What we haven't mentioned, I'm going to go on from there, because what we haven't mentioned yet is that while she's training hard for 3 whole years to play the guitar, she uploads her covers online to the fictional version of Utopia. And she has 30,000 subscribers, and she plays... And she's very proud of like having 30,000 subscribers and having these views and getting all the comments. But in episode 1, the thing that really opens her mind is when one of the other characters is like, it's okay because there are all these other people that we don't know about also playing awesomely, and also by the way, I know of this person who uploads covers on YouTube who sounds really cool, and they don't know it's her. And when she hears these 2 things, that's when Bocchi like opens her eyes and like really feels like emotional, because it's not the 30,000 subscribers that makes her truly proud. Like, it does help her a bit and helps her like be like, oh yeah, okay, I have 30,000 subscribers, so I can do this. But when that happens with someone who's like in front of her and like is actually talking to her.
For the record, this is after they said that she's really bad.
Yeah, but that's only in the context of performing for other people. But they like her, like. But solo, she's good. She just goes too fast. But, like, it's when that happens that when she feels like, oh yeah, I've actually really do feel recognized by someone other than my parents and my sister. So, yeah, it's sort of bridging when you're close with someone. That moment was really cool. And then she stands up and she's like, okay, I want to perform. And then she starts getting scared again. It's like, of course, like, you have this moment and like you want to do something, but then you still feel this anxiety. And she says, as long as at least the subs say that, like, oh, rationally I know I can do it, but I still feel scared. And it's like this up and down throughout these 3 episodes that I watched. It's just along with all this stuff. I could go so into just like how all these visual details. There's moving paper. There's Bocchi moving for trash can. Ghosts flying up out of the mouths when she feels so like Bocchi's ghost like flies up out of the air because she's singing a song about how how bad a situation is. And one of the other characters like actually sees this ghost rising up as well, and just like personification of the uvula at the back of Bocchi's mouth. Like, there's all this different kinds of things, and especially real life footage. So they use real life footage of like people on the beach, or like waves, or what I mentioned before, the identity popping. Just really creative ways, just visually all around, as well as the faces that we just said. Just overall, the anime is just really competently well made, and it's a complete joy to watch, and it's funny, and it's all that.
It's great.
It's great.
It's a good time.
It's a great time, and like, does she just like me for real?
Yeah,
It's so true, but in more ways than one, because there's also another character, Rio, who's like this cool like blue-haired girl, who makes like sarcastic remarks, like, well, yeah, sort of sarcastic remarks with one of her friends, and
she's
they
like
have
the
a
deadpan character, so of course she's best girl.
Yeah, exactly. I saw her on IMDb, just to image and name. I didn't even read like the tags below name. Just like I have immediately identified the best character before I've even watched this show. Though I think Bocchi, I just like more in general, because she just had more focus on her. But Rio as well. It's like up there. It's like next to her. And she is like, yeah, she likes making like sarcastic jokes, and like her relationship with her other friend, the friend who invites Bocchi to the band. Oh yeah, Ryo's the one who nicknames Hitori as Bocchi because of Hitori Bocchi, and it's just like, just so good. It's so good how she makes these deadpan expressions. And her relationship with her friend Nijika, the blonde girl, is also really cool, because Nijika like calls Ryo out for all this stuff. So there's that dynamic going on. And wow, where do you even go? Oh yeah, she's like me for real, because she also says rip. She says like, as the subs say like rip for rest in peace, and like I do that too. I'm like, oh my god, she's just like me for real. And like she's like Nijika says like oh, you can also call her weird, she likes it, and Ryo's like nah, I don't, while she's blushing, and I'm like, oh, she's just like me for real. It's like, and then it goes extra meta layer, because Bocchi as well, Nichika says, oh yeah, Ryo doesn't have any friends except me, and Bocchi also goes, holy shit, Ryo's just like me for real. But then actually it's subverted right afterwards in a joke with some great imagery, where the difference between Bocchi and Ryo is that Ryo actually likes being a loner, and she can actually enter a clothing shop by herself, and probably can also enter a supermarket by herself and be okay, unlike Bocchi, who has this really high social anxiety, where the gap between, well, the crevice, the canyon that forms between them, the volcanic with lava, is just so too big to cross.
I like that they highlighted the difference between like actual introverts and people who aren't necessarily introverts, but they have too much social anxiety to be functioning members of society.
Yeah. And also it's like Bocchi's inner monologue and everything, and her not caring that her nickname is Bocchi, because it is a nickname to speak of, even if it's a bad connotation. And she even does this like the manager of the venue they're in. Like the manager's like gives her just some nickname, and she's like, yeah, I like you now, manager. You were scary before, but now I like you because you gave me some nickname. It's just, wow. Yeah, as the love flags, I hear them too. And yeah, at least at the end of episode 3, Bocchi is the star of the show. Everyone's like, yeah, you're the MVP because you're the reason this other girl came back to us, because this other girl, Kita, is the extrovert, who Bocchi contrasts with, and like you're the reason she's back, and now we're all banned, so you're the MVP, Bocchi. You came out, you I know you tripped and had the curtain cover you while you were moping about you were also weak during the concert, and Kita shouldn't feel bad about joining the band, even though she like ran away. But you got out of the curtains, you shouted what you thought was too loud, and you showed your feelings, and that's also the key thing about what this show is about. It's about laying your feelings out because different people let their feelings out in different ways, and even if you're introverted and have social anxiety, there is some way for you to let your feelings out and show the world who you are. And for everything else I could possibly talk about, just watch the episode, especially the music. Is actually, out of the 3 shows I watched, this had the most standout music because there's chip tune that plays. There's also like conga drums that start playing when she's in like a situation where she doesn't want to work because she doesn't want to work because society wouldn't treat her well with all social anxiety, and like conga drums and chants start playing, and then there's strings as well, and then her solitary songs that she sings herself, and like for all the other details, just watch the 3 episodes and keep watching it because I'll keep watching it, and I'll probably be on Twitter like I was just before recording this episode, just freaking out because this is this really promising show, and I think by the end, it could possibly be one of my favorites depending on how it goes, but I really doubt it because even just seeing the trailer before was like, I know the show is going to be good because of the framing just of the trailer of this.
It's a very Kiko show.
Yeah, exactly, and I could tell you exactly why very concisely in 3 words, but I'm not going to say it. But you can find out. You can see. You can look around and find out what those 3 words are.
I'd give it like a 7, because it's not the kind of show I'd normally be into, but it's just so well done that even I'm able to enjoy it quite a bit.
The next show that we have, wait, hang on, give me a second. Wait, Aarlon, do you
It's
have the
C
thing open?
Danchi. Housing Complex C.
Housing Complex C, Danchi, right. Okay, I guess I'll start us off with this one. So, this was a show, is a horror show. I don't really have much to say about it, but I'll say the reason why I watched it was well, earlier you guys just heard me go on the whole rant on how I'm looking for different shows to watch, something that's different. So Sedanchi was actually the first show that I watched from this season, and I mean, it was well, I mean, I want to say it was okay, but to be honest, I'm actually kind of willing to just call it bad. So basically, it takes place at a housing complex C in what was it? What was the town that they live in again? Some town, and they have a bunch of like foreign students coming in. So there's a bunch of people living there, and all is well at housing complex C. They find out that there's some place underground, like a storage basement, where a guy called Kojima used to store. Well, okay,
A
I don't
guy
even know.
called
See,
Kojima.
this is where things get. This is where things get
Kojimbo.
a little bit confusing because
He died down there, right? He was
um
found like frozen solid.
I have no idea because I was wondering if that was even really a true story or what, but like anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So there's people that live there. They find this storage room that an old tenant named Hideo used to store stuff. Um, and they realize that something might be a little bit off. Like the anime sort of tries to sort of uh direct, but it spares no time trying to sort of direct people for you to potentially suspect as like the threat in this show. 'Cause yeah, I don't know who said Hideo Kojima, but there's a character called Kojima who stores this stuff in that basement. Then there's another character called Kojima, which I'm pretty sure was a reference to Hideo Kojima. I'm fairly confident, I could be wrong. Who's like a shut-in NEET who does like a bunch of drawings and stuff.
They
And
used him for a jump scare at one point. He like he opens the door to his room, and it's just a jump scare with like the face of an overweight guy.
Oh.
Yeah. And like he's like they're building him up as potentially being a threat because he does like weird Lovecraftian like drawings and but I think yeah, it's just a weird show. But
He's just a sweetheart.
yeah,
He drew a cute drawing of the main
he
characters.
just turns out to be a regular guy. Well, not regular, but like he's not a
Not
threat.
regular.
He's not a threat to anyone, basically. And like it's kind of interesting because from the very beginning the show was already kind of trying to spook you. Like you have like the one of the main characters, like the old man, he's like looking around and he sees a monster, but then it's not there, and it also does that weird thing where it's
Oh my
constantly
god.
like in regular situations, it's constantly building up music and building up tension in
It's so hammy.
what are pretty normal situations. Like it's constantly trying to build you up for like a jump scare or something bad going on, but like nothing is really happening. Like the only
So
time,
okay,
yeah.
Coco, this is when I have to let everybody know. Uh did you watch the dub of this? I
Well, okay, so
I couldn't find the sub.
here's the thing that's interesting about this, because I think this show was produced by Production IG USA.
Oh.
So it was animated in Japan and it was written by a Japanese writer, but I think it was produced
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
America.
because there was
So it
the
was,
Adult Swim logo I saw on one of the
yeah,
posters.
yeah. So it was dubbed, I believe it was dubbed first before it even got a sub.
Interesting.
Well, I watched the dub, and I gotta tell you, this show was peak comedy. It was so funny.
Like how so?
Well, like, okay, like, the whole thing with, like, the part where, so he's, like, explaining, the guy's explaining to the little girl what an optical illusion is.
Oh yeah.
And he draws out, like, the little illustration to show it. And
Hmm.
he's like, so yeah, this is an optical illusion. And then suddenly it like flashes back to him seeing like some monsters. And he goes, that
It
must have
must
been
have
an
been an
optical
optical illusion.
illusion.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. No, yeah.
And they keep saying it too throughout the episode.
Yeah,
At one point, like the little girl,
he's on the
she's like
balcony.
on like a second story terrace.
Yeah.
And she gets out of it and is on the outside of the railing. And she goes, hey, look at me. It's an optical illusion. And then she just jumps off.
And then gets caught by the big guy. I forgot his name. But wait, Arlen,
The chill
did you
foreigner.
finish this show? Did you watch it all the way
No,
through?
I just watched the first episode.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's a
I'm gonna
horror,
try and
but it's not a comedy horror.
it's not a
No, it's
comedy.
a horror. It's just
Oh,
bad.
Yeah.
It's so
that's
bad
so-
it's good.
So
It might be a campy kind of fun.
there's a mystery throughout the show where like someone keeps on leaving like the corpses of dead animals on the front door of the main little girl. And they suspect that it's the big guy because they keep on seeing him, like they have surveillance footage of him putting those dead animals there. But as it turns out, he wasn't actually putting them there, he was taking them away because he didn't want her to be disturbed by seeing those dead animals. And also, people are disappearing, and like piles of moss shaped like their bodies is being left behind
Huh.
where they
That
were.
sounds
So
interesting.
now they're trying to investigate like what's going on, and it keeps on doing like these whole misdirects or something. And then like there's a plot twist at the very end of the third episode because throughout this series you have the main girl constantly talking about her mom, but you never actually see her mom. Like
Spoilers, I guess, by the way, because this is only 4
yeah,
episodes.
it's only 4 episodes. You never actually see her mom. And okay, this is where we enter spoilers territory. It basically turns out that the main little girl is a goddess.
Oh,
Um,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, it basically turns out that she's a goddess. The family that brought in the foreign students, like the husband, the wife, and the little girl with the glasses, turns out they're like people who came there with the express purpose of killing that god so that they can get another god to return. And it's so weird because the last thing I was expecting from this anime was for it to take like a supernatural turn. Just it was so weird because it kept on throwing suspicion on like these seemingly normal people. Like mainly I'm assuming the foreign students were Indian. It kept on throwing suspicion on the big guy specifically. But no, it turns out that the housing complex C was trapped in like the late 90s by this goddess who's been like inviting people to come in and well, she's been like going to different parts of Earth and like trapping those places in time or something. And she's like trying to see if she can create an environment where humans can actually coexist, but every time it always ends with humans fighting and trying to kill each other. And so ultimately the message of this show really is that human bad and humans fight. Why must humans fight? The humans don't deserve eternal happiness because human bad and humans fight. Or at least that's the conclusion
Whoa.
the goddess
That's so
ends up
deep.
having. That's the conclusion that the goddess ends up having when she decides to sort of like abandon the whole project. Because, like, obviously, in things start to fall apart and people start killing each other once people realize, oh, um, this person's actually a goddess and this family has been here to kill her the whole time. And, like, there's clues that are scattered around the show that you can catch that sort of hint towards this sort of thing. Like, if you pay attention to whenever they like talk about the lore of the island that they're on and like pay attention to character names and stuff like that, you'll probably see some of these spoilers coming. I think I personally felt like even the opening kind of spoiled it a little bit, but um
Yeah, they like show a girl magically killing a bunch of people or something
yeah,
in the past.
yeah, so it's like it's pretty much that. And I don't know. I didn't think it was that great. Like I just kept up watching
Yeah, it
it
was
because
bad.
I just kept up watching it because it was a short show, so I was like, I guess I can watch this to the end. But it's not a good show. Not at all. And the twist ending is just so completely random. Like it comes out of nowhere, you know? The little like her mom, she has her mom like I don't know, well, if she's a goddess, I guess that's not actually her mom, but like the person that she keeps on referring to as her mom is like a fetus type thing that she has like in a jar, and then like
The fuck?
when she's like facing off with like the glasses girl, she just like kills, like she just pours it on the ground and stomps on it, and it turns into moss. So I guess it's like implied that every time these people die, it's or because like there's people disappearing and piles of moss are left behind where they are. I'm guessing the implication is it's because of her, because whenever she like kills something, instead of blood being left behind, it's moss. So I don't know. It's just yeah. It wasn't a very great show. Don't watch it.
Yeah. I give it a 5 out of 10 just because it was funny, but
Mm,
realistically, it's like a 3 out of 10.
yeah, yeah. Do not watch the show. Okay. And the next show is Akiba Maid War. Uh, Kiko,
Sinful.
why don't you go and introduce this show for us?
so Akiba Maid War. A 17-year-old girl named Wahira wants to be a maid in Akiba, and it's not what she expected at all. And it's not what I expected in a way, because I knew there would be guns, I knew there would be fights, but I did not expect that level of violence in episode 1.
Oh my god, this show is bonkers.
It's complete bonkers. I did not see that coming.
I see, it's because I don't look at the tags. I didn't see any of this coming until it happened.
No, because it still surprised me. I didn't expect the violence to be that much. You know, blood, yeah, but not like the way, not like the episode 1. What
The
happens.
blood spurts? Oh my god.
Like all the blood spurts and the
There's
and
this one scene. There's this one scene where someone gets shot like in the head and blood is spurting from their head, and then it like stops for a couple seconds and then it just starts again and it keeps
Yeah, that
going.
There's
was
like
and
this
it's funny.
fixation
Oh, now
on
you're
blood
watching.
hitting the main character in the face. They keep focusing on it, and she's
Yeah.
so horrified by it.
yeah, and I love how afterwards she actually tries to escape, like like any sane person would. But just that sequence, like how, so she joins this cafe at the same time as this 35-year-old named Ranko, and Ranko just like, Ranko is obviously experienced in this underworld, because it's implied in the beginning at the start of the show that her like one of her bosses was assassinated by another maid years ago, and now this is in the future.
This is a show about maid cafes, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, show
If
about
that
maid
wasn't
cafes.
clear.
I guess they thought maid cafes, just maid cafes would be too simple, so they need to like add some spice
A
to
lot
it
of
to make it
spice,
a little
yeah,
more
a lot of
interesting.
ketchup,
A lot of spice and ketchup.
a lot of ketchup, because because of course the ketchup, ketchup and blood. Yeah, I don't have to explain it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Ranko's clearly
Yeah.
like wants revenge or something like that. And she's not afraid to just shoot someone head directly and just kill a bunch of people, like just straight up just kill a bunch of people, like pretty with straight face, just killing them all. Well, they kind of have to because they want to kill them both. But yeah, like she ends this like complete blood spree by posing coolly like under the moon, and while Hiro's just completely
Wait.
shocked.
Mika, you're forgetting the most crazy part about how it was done in the first episode is that it's presented like a musical number, like a dance, and it's really crazy the way
Yeah.
they present it. Like it's all choreographed. and
Yeah.
They're like
everything.
dancing around with glow sticks, except the glow sticks are knives, as she's like shooting her guns, gunning
Yeah.
down all the people.
Yeah.
With the cute music in the background.
Yeah, it's just of course, the dissonance between the two. But even just like, what if you took this maid song about, being so like, I forgot exactly what the song was about, but it's called like Pure Maid's Killer Kiss. And just what if you took that literally and just played that with someone actually maid just killing each other, trying to kill each other. And it's, that's one funny part about it. But another funny part about it is how this is Underworld, right? And it takes place in 1999. And episode 2, the subs say the title of the episode is Gambling Adorable Calypsa, whatever it is, and the name of one of the characters. And this reminds me of another series, a little. Well, yeah, very well. I was trying to make a joke, but we'll just say it's straight. I'll just say it's straight. Kaiji, because Kaiji takes place in 1996, and this takes place in 1999. And episode 2 makes direct references to it, clearly with the episode title, but also like the characters have to gamble to get out of the situation, and if they fail, they get sent into a mysterious room, and the casino and the manager of the cafe has to go to a loan shark to get money, and after they escape the situation in a crazy fashion, they see on TV, like talking about like loan sharks, and then the manager of the cafe says like, "Oh, it's getting pretty common nowadays because it takes place the same time as Kaiji does, the same years after the Japanese economy crashed." So it has this like sense of like, it has this like neat like little. I mean, it's also funny because references Kaiji, and Kaiji's awesome, but yeah, like it is like set in like 1999. Like nicely, and that detail is also appropriate to make the reference to that because of the time period they're in, and just how the sorts of also contrast with just like the aspiration of the main characters to be maids, and it's also funny in a way.
One thing that I kind of liked about the second episode was how it kind of played on your
Exactly,
expectations for
yeah.
a little bit there. Because in the second episode, you actually think that like the maid is gonna win because she caught them cheating, but she still loses. Because like like how other animes that have like card games or something like there's this one anime that I remember Trixie the Golden Witch talking about, but I forget what it's called. It's like centered around spies or something. King's
Joker
Game, I think it
game.
was
Spy
called.
X
Um,
Family.
Joker Game. Yeah, Joker Game. It reminded me of that scene, only it was like way better because even though she like caught all the ways that, well, I don't even know if she really caught anything or if she was just completely BSing that they were doing that. But like she gave like this whole like I caught you in the act of cheating because you were doing this, that, and the other. And then she makes her play and then she still loses and everyone's just like, what
Yeah,
the
she's
hell just
completely
happened?
dead. Like she's dead inside afterwards. She can't move. Like she's just completely destroyed. Just like someone in Kaiji would be. Though it doesn't have that same visual. Just yeah. Um,
And the way like uh the episode, like the second episode basically almost ends in the exact same fashion that the first one did. And like with the shootout and everything. And like she says the tall one with the dark hair, she says at the line, what's the line that she says at the end of the first and second
Ito
episode?
Shimasu.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
like I forget what it is in English, but yeah.
Thank you, come again, or
Yeah, thank you.
something.
Come again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before
Yeah.
killing someone. Yeah. Um,
I'm wondering if that's like if that's gonna be a thing where it's like, because I've only seen the first two episodes.
I
I'm
don't
like,
They
think it was in
say
so
that
episode
in the
3.
OP like a bunch.
yeah,
So
yeah,
what I'm getting from this is basically like it's maid girls, but it's like a mafia.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
Oh
Maid
my
Yakuza.
Mafia.
god. Maid Mafia. Cause I wanted to watch it, but I was unsure if it would be something I was into. And hearing about what it actually was, I'm just like, oh man, I should have watched it in the first place. Maybe. I don't know. I'm terrible at catching up on lots of anime, so meh.
It's really, this anime is really strange because I feel like Kiko, you were talking about Shadow, whatever that anime was called. That one being like weird tonally, but
Yeah.
this anime is like tonally all over the place. That it goes from like sometimes it's like just like a cute girl show, then sometimes it's like the comedy almost reminds me of like Chainsaw Man's comedy,
Yeah.
and then sometimes it's like really fucked up. Like in the second episode, the main character literally gets triggered by seeing ketchup because it like reminds her of the
Yeah,
blood
the shootout.
spurts as the
Yeah,
chick
I
gunned
remember.
down the
There's also
maids.
like the very beginning, like the very like first thing that happens in the first episode is someone gets shot and then someone runs away. It's a pretty dark scene. There's no comedic tone to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I saw that. I'm like, okay, like there will be blood, but it still didn't set me up for like. It still didn't set up the end episode 1. Like, yeah. But
Yeah.
about tone, like, I just think, yeah, it is. It has different tones, but it's much more like obvious what it's going for every time.
Mm.
It's just directed. It like the focus of scenes everywhere just makes the tone just in a sense better without trying to sit here and think about okay why exactly is the tone better, but it just makes it clearer. How am I supposed to in quotation marks, but how I just interpret the scenes. But I also want to talk about more about like this satirical like little aspects of it, because there's ketchup and blood, of course, but there's also the part where one of the characters is like, well, to be a maid you have to sort of give up being human because they're putting on an act, like clear, like obviously. So even when like when Wahira first walks into the cafe for the first time, like she's greeted by Yumechi, does the act, and then like right after she says, oh wait, I'm not a customer, I'm the new employee here. Yumechi immediately switches gears and is like, manager, come on out. And like, yeah, you have to be acting all this time, and just like, it's a little cynical, but then at the same time, there's also the real aspiration that's reflected in Wahira, and also another character who's Russian and was denied cute things her whole life, and she liked cute things, and she looked up to maids for being really cute, and like, oh, actually, as a thing, maids, you give up being human in a sense, but people do like that aesthetic, and I mean, I like that aesthetic too, and like, it is something that has worth to people. And Ranko, the 35-year-old, says earlier on in the episode, like, there might be things that other people would see as worthless, but to me they are the most precious things in life. And this not only reminded me of the main character from Eminence in Shadow, who gets pissed off when people don't like the things he likes, but it also introduces like pride as a maid and how that's a thing, and like you can be
That
proud
almost
to be a
sounds
maid.
like a way of saying one man's trash is another man's
Yeah,
treasure.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like that applies to everyone. Yeah, like there's some things some people don't like maid, culture, whatever. And of course,
Hmm.
like maids don't get paid much at all. Like I doubt they get paid much at all. Unless you're a popular one, you get more. Unless you're popular,
Get the most tips.
get the most tips and all that. But you can still be proud to be a maid. And in addition to that, she also says, like, once you put the uniform on, anyone has the right to be a maid. The only judge that determines whether you're a maid or not is yourself. And that's extremely based.
What's different is what makes you a maid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just good, just like genuine, like good stuff in there. About along in this madness, there's also light and hope, which is great.
Yeah.
But
There's
there's also
something meaningful there.
there is something meaningful there. But what isn't really meaningful or truthful is the manager's words sometimes, because she's such a delightful piece of shit who sends them to die in the first episode. And
she is the main antagonist of
she's
the
the main
show.
antagonist. Well, that's
I was
cool
gonna
way of putting
say
it.
she was gonna send the main girl to that other cafe or whatever without any protection,
Yeah, but the plan.
knowing that it could potentially
In,
escalate.
in fact, the plan in episode 2, when like the person who's like wants the money because the cafe's in debt, like she's like, yeah, the plan was to send one of them to be killed so that a dispute would be caused between them, not that you completely destroy the place.
She almost got them all sold into slavery.
Yeah, all the slavery, also the gambling, slavery, even like prostitution, because Yumechi, when she gambles, when the evil people are watching the game, they're like, we can also sell her body, I think, and like they allude to that. It's like, manager, I think Wahira is right, because she asks her like, we can't give up now, or we have to do this. You know what the right thing to do is? And Wahira's just like, we should go home. We should go home. In any case, even in the situation where, there's always a way they get out safely. Like in episode 3, Rancor inadvertently causes the other people who were going to kill them, make them kill themselves, kill each other, and they make it out alive. And all's good in the end, except the fact that they're still in debt. But it seems like they'll be in debt, like in Cowboy Bebop, like every episode they'll still be in debt, maybe until the end. But ultimately,
That's pretty much how that works.
yeah, it's pretty much how
Get
debt
in it
works.
until you die. Anyways, is that all we have to say about Akiba Maid? I admittedly did not have much to say about this show because when I watched the first episode, I actually found it kind of underwhelming. But the second episode was a slight spark. But yeah.
Yeah, I quite like it. Actually, okay, three very quick things. Like, 1999 is the year is I was born late 1998, and 1999 is just after I was born. So it's cool to see Akiba set in that time period. Especially because when I was there, I was in Japan in 2018. And I went to Akiba, and it's like, it's familiar. I'm glad that this show is here. I'm back here, and it shows the
Wait,
period just after I was
you
born.
went to Japan?
Yeah, in
Japan's
2018.
a real place? I thought
Yeah,
that place was
Japan's
just like an
real.
anime.
Oh my god.
And it's just like, yeah, so I was just like happy. It's like, yeah, it's here, and it's in a time period just after I was born. Just, it's a cool little thing. There's also a panda who
Very
is just there.
Oh,
random.
yeah.
Just a panda.
It's just there.
The magic.
The token
yeah.
mascot character.
Yeah. Panda manager, wow. There should be a panda manager as well.
Panger.
But yeah, the panda is also the one who sets up the gas explosion in episode 2, and makes the point that helps Rancor give us the message that cool maids don't look at explosions.
Cool men don't look at explosions.
True.
They blow
And
things up and then walk away. Who's got time to look at explosions?
Healer Girl was aired some months ago. But I've watched the episode of Healer Girl. I have to keep watching it. And then last two things. The manager, I like that she's a piece of shit, but also that she goes extra. She has the eye patch. She also hands an ashtray, and she goes naked just to show dedication to someone because she wants to be a bootlegger so that she can survive the day. And then just this little thing apart from other details. There's just I wonder if there's actually any like feuds between like maid cafes in real life. Of course, not like Yakuza, but like just like rivalries and stuff. And in the midst of all this, there's just a little bit of hope because Hiroshi meets this other maid from another cafe. And they're just like, and she's just like, well, of course, the violence is part of the deal, but being a mate isn't all that bad, And it's like, yeah, true. At least you have a home. The cafe is sort of like your group, and you can go back to it. You might die, but it might be worth it. To be a mate in this situation. Yeah.
Oh god, I was just thinking about that really terrible, gross joke that I made about how you can use a sword when we were talking about
Yeah. Thank you for reminding us of that, Coco.
And I just remembered that Trixie the Golden Witch wrote like some like Fate fan fiction where a person actually does that.
Okay. I haven't heard about that.
I just remembered.
Interesting.
Oh man. Yeah, Trixie wrote some really weird stuff. But anyway.
And speaking of references to other things, Ashita no Joe and Dazaki frames and references and Dazaki. Also talking about references, Ashita no Joe references and Dazaki frames in episode 3, of course. And yeah, there's some little things like soy sauce appearing.
Is that all we have to say about Akiba Maid War?
Pretty much.
I'd give it like a 6, but only because I don't like that kind of cynical, unpleasant to watch type of comedy. But it's well made and everything.
So I take it you're not like the biggest fan of like Tarantino films then?
They're fine. They're all right.
Yeah. I'm actually talking out of my ass because I don't think I've seen a single Tarantino film, but that's beside the point. The next anime that is on, and this is the last anime, well, kind of last, is Arknights. This is an anime that I was sort of looking forward to because it's based on a mobile game that I've never played, but I really so basically how I first found out about Arknights is I saw ads for it on YouTube. It used to be like a pretty heavily promoted game. Um and I also found it because they would use, I think they like licensed music from Starset, which is a band that I like. That they use their music in their ads. So whenever I looked up Starset, their ads would always come up. And like I watched some of their trailers for the game, and it looked really cool. I really like the character design and the aesthetic and stuff. It's totally my kind of thing. The only
It's
problem is,
very crisp.
yeah, the only problem is it's all in service of a mobile strategy game, which is not really my type of thing.
But so what?
So I
Oh my god, the show is so boring.
so I never played the I
Did you
never
just say
played the
boring?
game. I never played the game, um, but I was really hoping that an anime for it would come out one day. And lo and behold, here we are. So the plot of the anime is that like a bunch of people are infected with a virus or something. I forget what it's actually called. And the characters that we're following are like an organization of people who have also been infected by it, but are also setting out to cure it, because they want to like cure the infected and stuff. Um, Meanwhile, there's an organization called I forget what the organization is called, and basically they're people who got tired of being like subject to like prejudice and being isolated because they're infected. So they just started committing acts of domestic terrorism, I guess, which is
Yeah,
kind of weird.
the bad guys are
Yeah,
basically just like BLM. It's like
yeah,
the
the
idea is that it's
BLM,
like, oh, they wanted social justice, but they took it too far.
the BLM if blackness was a disease, I guess. I don't know.
Ooh.
But anyway, yeah, so they start attacking people, and yeah, I don't know. It's just weird because I mean, yeah, there wasn't much to the first episode. Um, the first episode is centered around like rescuing, well, the first half of it is about rescuing the doctor who I immediately assumed was a stand-in for the player character, and upon looking it up was exactly the case. The character is called Doctor. So basically, the Doctor's a standing character is pretty obvious from the beginning. I mean, I suppose the fact that the episode starts from a first-person perspective of the Doctor is kind of what gave that away. If I were to guess, I don't know the story of the game, but I'm guessing that the first episode, or maybe this entire series, is basically just like an opening of like the opening sequences of the game. Um, so it's not like a prequel or a sequel or anything like that. It is like an adaptation of the opening, from what I can tell. Um, it's kind of funny too because they don't really try to hide the fact that this is an adaptation of a game either, a mobile game, because there's this scene where like a family runs into like this terrorist organization or whatever, and basically the girl with the rabbit ears thing, I forget her name. She
Were those
gives
rabbit ears? I thought they were like donkey
I have no
ears or
idea.
something.
I'm not entirely sure. She gives a device to the doctor which looks pretty much exactly like a phone, and like the doctor uses that to like organize the troops the way that I imagine you would while playing the actual game. They even refer to the rescue operation that they try to pull as a mission. So it's just kind of funny because it's pretty like even if you didn't know that this is an adaptation of a game going into it, it's pretty obvious because they don't
I
really
did
even
not
hide.
realize. I'm too brain off watching anime to figure that out.
Well, I mean, yeah, yeah, but like it's just the way that they refer to certain things and like the way the whole thing is structured and yeah, even the way, even at the very end, because I only watched one episode of this. The second episode just came out today, actually, but I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. At the end of the episode, she's like delivering like the sort of lore and backstory of the world pretty much in a way that you would expect from a video game too. It's yeah, it's pretty video game-esque. And speaking of video games, one thing that I found interesting about the story is how much it reminds me of the plot of Final Fantasy 13. Because,
Okay.
yeah, it's characters that get infected by something and they have a mark on their body that gives away the fact that they're infected. Now, anyone who's infected is like subject to like ridicule and, is isolated and stuff. And on top of that, you have a limited time to get yourself cured because if you don't, you turn into crystal when you die,
Uh-huh.
right before passing it off onto someone else, which is pretty much exactly what happens with Lassie in Final Fantasy 13. You get cursed by a Fauci, you get the mark on your arm, and then you turn into crystal. Well, it's slightly different because you turn into crystal if you achieve the goal that you were given by the Fauci, but you turn into a monster if you don't. But yeah, it just reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy 13, a game that you should not play. But
You
anyway,
should.
but yeah, that's Arknights. Aarlon, do you have anything to say about Arknights?
You know what I'd say about Arknights is what it I got this overwhelming feeling watching it. I already said I was extremely bored, but I got this
Yeah,
overwhelming feeling. This
that's totally understandable.
feels like something we would have talked about last season.
Oh yeah.
It is like such a standard, it's just what you'd expect to see in the lineup of like boring, underwhelming seasonals that you really don't want to watch, but you're forced to watch yourself to watch because you have a podcast to talk about them on.
Yeah, yeah.
3 out of 10.
There wasn't that much going on here, to be honest. I suppose that's kind of to be expected given what the source material is. Usually, whenever an anime is like an adaptation of a mobile game, I mean, I'm sure there's some exceptions here and there, but they're usually not very good. I mean, game adaptation animes in general, I hear are often not very good. Like I didn't hear much good about the Persona adaptations.
No, but
I
people
didn't,
like Persona 4 anime.
yeah,
Also,
I
Q is a
guess
good
there's
one.
that one. But like I heard that like at least for five it was kind of and then there's yeah, but I don't know. It was okay. Like well, not okay, but yeah, there wasn't much to it. But I did like the visuals though, and I wanted to check the studio that made it. But the studio it was made by a studio called YoStar, but I don't think they're like a standard anime studio. I think their whole thing is that they just make PVs for games like this. I was actually kind of impressed by how good the animation was because again I was really into the aesthetic of the game. So the fact that it was made to look pretty decent in anime form is kind of cool. But that makes sense because the person who directed the trailers and the promotional videos for the game is also the director of the anime. And his name is Yuki Watanabe, and he did stuff on One Punch Man. He also worked on Mob Psycho season 2 and Kill la Kill. So the anime was in good hands at the very least. But
Also, so Yostar is the publisher for Arknights worldwide,
yeah.
but it's
Oh,
developed
that.
by Hypergriff.
Oh, okay. But yeah, not much going on here. I don't know if I'll watch the rest of it, but I probably will, just because I really like how it looks. Until the story eventually bores me. But the good thing is it's not that long. It's like 8 episodes, I think. All right, Aarlon, uh, the sequels.
Sequel talk.
All right, yeah, sequel talk. All right, Bleach. Let's go.
It's finally back, baby.
It's a big deal.
Bleach. It's my favorite anime of all time. It's tied with another show for that status. It's been gone for a decade, and finally, after all this time, they brought it back, baby.
hmm
Ah, it's so good.
You know, I saw someone say, this is somewhat related, but not really. I saw someone put out a tweet saying, it feels great to be alive in a time where the big three has finally made a return. And they put Bleach, One Piece, and Boruto. And
Doesn't
everyone
make
was
any
like,
sense.
you really tried to sneak Boruto in there, huh? That's crazy, bro. I can't believe you tried it. But yeah. I find that really funny.
uh, I mean, so I mean, you watched a little bit of the original Bleach,
Yeah, I've
Coco.
watched the first 6 episodes.
I mean, did you like Bleach?
Oh, it was okay, yeah. Probably need to see a bit more before I can really form an opinion on it. Seems like a bit of a slow burner.
I mean, Bleach, it's a bit like Naruto in that it's kind of inconsistent. That it'll be like a 10 for a while, and then it'll go down to like being like boring filler. But overall, I think if you're willing to tolerate that, it's worth getting into. It's a good shonen. The new show, it looks beautiful. It looks really good. There was like a little bit of awkward CG in the first episode, but beyond that, it's all being like really slick. It looks really good.
Now,
So,
Arlon, I heard that the arc that is being adapted right now was one of the arcs that was considered to be the least good. Is that true?
um, I mean, I haven't read all of the. It's kind of weird because, like, it's Thousand Year Blood War, and it's like half the manga. I haven't read all of it. I've read like some of it, and what I read of it was really good. But I don't. It might get worse as it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, because I heard like a lot of people saying it's like the least good arc in Bleach.
What I saw of
So
it was really enjoyable.
yeah.
So anyway, if you like Bleach, obviously watch it. If you haven't seen Bleach, I'd check out the original anime or the manga first. But yeah, it's good.
Although there's a lot of episodes, so get ready to skip a lot of filler.
Wait, if you're gonna no, if you're gonna watch Bleach, just type Bleach Kai and you'll probably find like a fan cut.
Or just
It's
watch
Because
the anime.
Bleach
because
is
there's
not
usually
like One Piece or Dragon Ball Coco. It's not like super interwoven filler. They just have like big arcs that are entirely filler. So you can just
oh,
skip. Spy Family,
Spy X Family.
we watched that on another seasonal discharge.
hmm
My review is the same. It's really good. Watch the first season.
It's propaganda to make you
Oh.
have
Yeah,
kids.
it's more of the same. Mob
It's
Psycho 100.
some Tony Kawaii, Tony Kaku. Man, I forgot what it's called.
True.
Tonikaku
You guys know what I'm
Kawaii.
talking about. The other one. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Mob Psycho 100. So I mentioned that Bleach was tied with another anime from my favorite of all time.
Aha.
Mob Psycho is
Hmm.
that other anime. It is damn near perfect. It is, I would recommend Mob Psycho to anyone. It has beautiful animation. Uh, it
Arlon, I really don't wanna. I'm not even trying to be rude, but this sounds like the most Zoomer take for
What?
for someone who's 25 years old.
I mean,
Like
Mob Psycho is
the
just a really good show. And it's
no,
also hilarious,
I
but
know it's
it
a really good show, but for some reason, like the idea that like your top two would be like an older show like Bleach, and then a newer
Hey,
show like
Bleach
Mob
isn't old.
Psycho. Well, Bleach is like early 2000s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're in the later below, so what are you talking about?
I grew up with Bleach, so Bleach is like my anime of the past. Mob Psycho is my anime of the
Oh,
present.
Bleach is like it's for you. It's like what Naruto and Dragon Ball are to me.
I
Yeah,
guess I don't know. But yeah,
yeah.
it's like it's hilarious, but it's like a perfect dramedy, which is kind of crazy. It's like this
Mm.
perfect fusion of drama and comedy that's so good. Uh, it's also my comic, Big Billy's Adventure Everywhere. I would call Mob Psycho my biggest inspiration writing
Okay,
wise.
okay,
That
okay.
I'm
I can
always
kind of see
aspiring
that
to be
actually.
like Mob
I will take
Psycho.
note of that.
I can kind of see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go read it, by the way. It's hilarious.
Pop Team Epic.
Pop Team Epic.
I
Whoa.
know everyone likes
Love.
the show. It's like a meme show. It's where all the memes come from. I watched an
Yeah.
episode of it. It didn't really do it for me, but
No, that's fine.
it's
It's
iconic.
one of those animes that like is kind of a required taste because the humor is so absurd and like very like out there.
Hmm.
So it's like if you have a weird sense of humor or just like weird stuff, then it'll be up your alley. For me, I guess the best way to describe it, it's kind of like oh, it's very mixed media at times, which I really appreciate. It's kind of like if Newgrounds had a baby with like
Love, Death, and
I guess
Robots.
yeah, maybe I don't know. Like it's like kind of like all those early cartoons on like the internet where there were these very like short animated skits that were very flashy and quick. I don't know. Like I guess like Stuff Movie could be a good example, but I feel like it's even more absurd than Stuff Movie for the most part. But I don't know. I guess it's just like it's just a very unique show, but I like it for how out there it is. I don't know how to
Mhm.
describe it. It's very absurd, but in a fun kind of way.
Oh wait, Megan,
Um,
did you see the most recent season of this one?
yeah, I saw like it was like season 2. I don't know if it's is it gonna continue with more episodes or is it just like a one-off episode of season 2?
I think it's continuing. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it's just like a normal anime season, I think.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. There was like a TV special that had. I didn't watch that, though. It does have a lot of like references to other things. I know in like season 1 there was like an Undertale reference they did for one of them. A recent one they did was for Final Fantasy, which was pretty cool.
Oh,
With those burbs. The choco. I don't know how to pronounce
Chocobos?
it. Chocobos, yeah. Those little funny yellow burbs. I like them. I don't know a lot about Final
You can
Fantasy,
ride
but
the Chocobo.
I
Sorry.
yeah, that
love them
song's great. I love
burbs.
it. Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 13 too. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry if I'm spouting nonsense. I
No,
guess
you're
I'm
good.
kind
You're
of
good. You're right.
alright. Cool. Um,
I believe
because
that's
I
it
guess
for
that's
the sequels. So, favorite openings and
OPs.
endings.
favorite. Oh, oh, it's again. It's Chainsaw
Yeah.
Man's opening again. I've been listening to it on Spotify and YouTube so much. I listened to like I saw an English cover of it. There was a really good Vocaloid cover of it using the Vocaloid Kaito. That was really good. Um, I guess like for outro stuff, I will say Bocchi the Rock has a really good outro music. I quite like a
Yeah, I like
lot.
it,
So there's that.
I
especially
would
with the
say
animations.
Chainsaw Man for
Yes.
the ED too, because Chainsaw Man's ED is insane.
Yeah.
I
It's
like the one with
it's
power.
very
it's got some again, like the outros for Chainsaw Man's like genre of music changes, I guess depending on like the character or something. I'm not too sure, but like they go all out with like the cool animation style for each of them, which is neat.
Yeah, if I had watched Chainsaw Man in time for this, my favorite ED would probably be in the episode 3 ED because it's by Maxim the Hormone. Um, but otherwise, for Eminence and Shadow, it's just not, Eminence and Shadow was nothing special. Akiba Maid War has nice visuals and a nice like style, old school style to it. But yeah, Bocchi the Rock has the better one, best one because also not just it's not really about the song. I mean, it's also good because the lyrics also match what's happening. But just the animations that play, the little chibi characters, it's pretty cute.
In terms of what's really memorable this season for me in terms of OPs, because there was plenty of good ones, it's really just Chainsaw Man, and then like a close second for me is Mob Psycho. Because the other thing about Mob Psycho is the openings are all crazy. So I've
And
also
addictive
been
to
playing
sing, I
that
guess.
one on loop.
Yeah, they have this addictive quality to them. I can't
Yeah.
pinpoint exactly, but yeah. What about the Emerson Shadow OP though?
The opening?
Yeah, highest by OXT, who also did the opening
Um,
for Gridman.
I can't actually like remember what it sounded like, but I remember thinking like, yeah, this is a decent opening.
Yeah, I like the song because it sounds just like a little strange in how it paces it just paces the instruments. Um, there's little parts when it's like the first shot of just like a general when you see the classroom and it does this like thing. I can't remember exactly what it was. That just sounds cool. Um, but I also like the visuals in the OP when we see Sid like walking alone in the rain, surrounded by like trash because he's in a whatever it's called. Um, and how they use like these televisions to show what I assume is like vulnerable moments from characters, but you don't know what they are exactly. Um, so it's what makes you look forward to that, but also of course it shows his isolation from society. Um, so that's cool. Um, but apart from that, for me, it's clear winner here is Bocchi the Rock, because the song lyrics match exactly what's happening. Um, they match exactly. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, so but for me, the clear winner is Bocchi the Rock because the song's lyrics are just they're just the perfect fit, but also the visuals are really creative, just like the rest of the show. So what I especially like is like how they repeatedly like layer Bocchi like twice, and then afterwards they just continuously replicate her, like moving around the screen like a snake. So I like that as well. And also just these other cool visuals, like how they sort of seem to foreshadow like future characters in a way. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a character with like crazy eyes who's like introduced in a cool way because, like with the colors and everything. And right beforehand, there's like one of the characters like turns around and it zooms into her eyes, and then it shows other characters like in quick succession. One of them like just drinking in the background, and I wonder, oh, who's that? Who's that? But also just the colors and everything with the song, just clear winner.
I don't really have any favorite openings I did like the one from Chainsaw Man. But yeah, that was about it, I guess. Anyways, closing thoughts, overall thoughts on the season as a whole. What did you guys think about it?
It was insane. What a crazy season of anime, guys.
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Good. I'm gonna keep
Definitely.
watching.
I'm, you
The
know,
last season.
oh, sorry. I'm really happy that I gotten back into an anime because I felt like there was a moment where it's like, oh, am I into anime still? Have I, kind of drifted off to other things? No, I'm still into anime. I guess it just needed like to find an anime that was kind of like my thing or something I was into, and it dragged me back in. So that being Chainsaw Man, I think it's just because it's like, again, it's full of action to keep me seated. It's full of fun, chaotic characters and cool monsters. And it's also kind of a horror, so it's like spooky. So it's like a little bit of everything kind of mishmashed together. And the guy turns into a chainsaw monster, so that got me interested. Where when a human combines with a creature from beyond, that's how you get me invested. That's that's how you do it. It's like, oh, this guy can transform into a monster. Hey, I like that. I'll watch it. God, I'm so fucking predictable. It's not even funny anymore.
It's okay.
Nothing wrong with having what you like.
I have my taste in certain things.
I thought this season was a step up from the last season. I can't even really remember anything from the last one.
I wasn't even part of it.
Last
Like,
season was like 8 Arknights in one good show.
well, which one was the good show?
Call of the Night. You don't
Oh,
like Call of the Night?
Yeah, I've listened to a few tracks from the soundtrack. Seems
yeah.
cool.
Well, I watched 2 episodes. I watched 2 episodes of it, and then I put it on my on hold, which is pretty much the same as dropping it. But I might return to it. We'll see.
I didn't finish it either, but I really liked what I saw
Yeah.
of it.
There were a few, especially Chainsaw Man. This show really stood out. I definitely get what you mean when you sort of question, are you falling out with anime? I've kind of had that feeling for a while as well. But it's nice to check the seasonal charts sometimes because there's at least one show there that's gonna be interesting enough to be worth watching. Like for me, my kind of mindset with that sort of thing is I don't really describe myself as a fan of anime in general, but I guess like specific shows that I like watching because anime is a very broad term. So if something comes along that I like watching, like Chainsaw Man, which was okay, which I liked, then there's that. I might even finish what's it called? Mercury, which despite everything I had to say about its development.
But
But yeah.
that's what I love about doing like the seasonal anime thing is you find so many hidden gems and shows you would just
Then my
never
the only
consider
problem with that
watching
is
on
that
your
my
own.
plan to watch list keeps on piling, and now it's like insanely huge.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. I have too many things to watch.
Yeah,
It's hard to catch up with everything.
yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot to look forward to.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Again, I'm glad to like get back in it. I think that probably what I needed was just probably like a break from it so I could just like,
Mm.
watch other things and get into other stuff
Yeah, basically.
and then come back to it. It's okay to take a break from certain things, because of, if because eventually you will come back to it and then you'll find something and you'll be like, yeah, I'm back into it again and it's all good. So don't ever worry if you feel like you're drifting away from something. It's okay to take a break, just to take time to maybe get into something else. Because the truth is I feel like catching up with a lot of anime can be really hard for some, and some people have like struggled to like catch up with what's going on, and it's kind of like sometimes it can be overwhelming for some people because like people be talking about it and you try to get into it but you get overwhelmed by trying to catch up with a lot of episodes, and some people can binge through things quickly and some people take their time, and it feels like at times you feel like you're missing out on something, but not always the case.
Mhm.
Like you just find what works with you. It doesn't matter if it's not like the thing that's being talked about at the moment. If you find something that you enjoy,
Yeah.
then you enjoy it,
Yeah,
and
it's
that's all
good.
that really
Yeah, it's
matters.
a good message.
Mhm.
Don't worry about, you know, trying to catch up with the popular stuff, find something that you enjoy. Because that's kind of what I did before. I was watching a lot of like animes that I guess weren't getting as a lot of attention. Some I was watching that were popular and some that weren't. Because you never know what you end up finding. You'll find something that you feel connected with.
Yeah, it's really true, guys. If you don't feel like watching 1070 episodes of a show just because it happens to be the most popular shonen, you really don't have to. You can actually
Yeah.
skip it.
There is so much to choose
That's
from in
me throwing
anime.
shade at One Piece.
There's so much to choose from in anime, and I think that's the beauty of it. Like, there's something for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah. Overall,
Um,
it was okay. It wasn't as
Good.
bad as last season.
Very good. It had
Overall
my
good.
2 favorite shows.
It was fun.
And,
It was a fun time.
and Bocchi the Rock ticks all the boxes.
Chainsaw Man's my winner for me personally. I know it's popular, but I just like it because again it just connected with me and inspired me.
It's good.
So
Deservedly
yeah,
popular.
I'm glad. Yes, very popular. But I'm only there for the fan art. I'm not here for any big discussions. I'm just there for the cool art I see on Tumblr and stuff, and that's it.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Alright,
might draw some fan art.
Last thing, actually, I forgot to mention, because
But Bocchi's good too.
because we have to tie this into the main theme of this entire podcast. The music composer for Akiba Maid War is Yoshihiro Ike, who composed the music to Sonic X.
Really?
Oh,
Like
wait,
the
not-
Japanese
Yeah,
opening to
no, the
Sonic
Japanese
X?
soundtrack.
oh, so
Oh,
they
wow.
they didn't compose the da, 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 da.
No.
No.
But
Damn it.
yeah, they composed soundtrack to Sonic X, Dead
That's-
Leaves, Yu-Gi-Oh!
oh.
Dark Type Dimensions, Inuyashiki.
Wait, Dead Leaves?
Dead
Oh
Leaves.
my
Ergo
god.
Proxy, Ergo Proxy, and Sonic X. Yeah,
Oh my god.
and Tactile Destiny.
dang.
But yeah,
That's quite a.
I
a
love
lot
how-
of composers are can be very.
I love
Huh.
how some way Sonic always manages to be mentioned at least once in every episode that we do. Well, technically,
Sonic always finds a way.
technically I was
It's
the one.
your fault.
Yeah, what can I say? I mean, Sonic is on our minds right now. Frontiers is just around the corner.
Oh,
As the
yes.
time of this recording. Yep.
Just
Yeah.
around the corner.
But yeah, all right. Aarlon, do you have anything you wanna shout out or promote?
Big Billy's Adventure Everywhere. It's an incredible webcomic I've heard. It's at bigbilliesadventureeverywhere.xyz. Read it now.
And Megan?
Well, yes, there's the MC Gemstone YouTube channel. Hopefully we will be posting more stuff. Me and Alex be posting more content next year, hopefully. But I can't make a promise. I want to do other things on the channel, at least my second channel, but I'm kind of very busy at the moment. I'm working on a certain comic, but I don't know if I want to talk too much about it. And also I'm working on other projects. Yeah,
Yeah.
very ever so slowly, because I'm just a guy.
And Kiko, anything you want to shout out?
Follow me on
Anime
Twitter.
music
What?
server. Anime music server.
Oh yeah, if you want to be invited to a server to talk all about anime soundtracks or anime music, just message me on Twitter, send me a DM or even on Discord, if you want to. Follow me on Twitter, and also follow my blog and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There will be more coming in 2023.
Nice.
Do you want it linked in the description?
Sure.
All right, cool. All right. And as for me, you can find me at Twitter at TAMIKA Draws, and on Instagram is Tammy Likes to Draw, and a bunch of other places which I will not list on here. They'll be in the description probably. And also, don't forget, we also have the Social Discharge server, which is now the joint server with Sonic Saturn, which is another project of mine that you can
Hey.
find, which will also be linked in the description. Yeah. That's about it. Uh, everybody, say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Bye. And a LADY Nami's not shy.
I love that song. It's good.